In this world, Rimuru isn't a reincarnated salaryman. He's the first demon lord, predating Guy Crimson, Milim, and even Velzard's awakening. A being who ruled before the concept of nations or heroes existed, when chaos and mana shaped the land itself. His presence alone bends reality. His magicules form storms that rewrite the laws of creation. Welcome to the Cosmic Rimuru. Join our family if you are new here. Now, without any further delay, let's start.
Stone presses cold against me. Sound comes first, thin drips somewhere to my left, the scrape of tiny legs in the dark, air sliding through a crack I can't see. Then light edges in from a slit above the cavern and touches the pool I'm sitting in. I'm a slime. I know that much. But my body isn't weak or hollow. It's heavy with power, like a lake hiding a current no one can swim against. A calm voice arrives in my head, precise and close. Manus, systems online. Host consciousness stable. Thought acceleration engaged, baseline at 100,000 times. Do you wish to increase? Let's keep it there for now. My own voice is steady, which surprises me more than the voice inside my head. Manus acknowledged. I pull myself up the rock with a slow roll. Vision is different. Not eyes, more like pressure and color tied together. I read the cave in layers. Mineral veins, condensed magicules in the cracks, a pocket of gas under the floor that will pop if someone steps on it too hard. There's a heart beating 3 tunnels away. A small one. Frantic. Where am I? Manus. Jura Forest subterranean chamber, Western Ridge. Ambient magicule density, high. Threat level, low. Resource level, abundant. I absorb a pebble and taste iron and clay. The data slips into place with no effort. Every grain has a signature. Every draft has weight. It's like I've done this 1,000 years and also never once. What am I exactly? Manus. Designation, RIMURU Tempest. Vessel type, slime. Core state, ancient demon lord authority present. True dragon factor integrated at birth. Existence value exceeds 20 million. Note, vessel form is a constraint, not a limitation. A slow pause. Ancient demon lord, Manus, correct. Power is inherent, not accumulated. Authority of origin verified. You dictate order, you do not chase it. I'll let that sit. The words don't puff me up, they settle me. Like someone finally set a heavy box on the ground. A deeper thrum pulses through my core when I turn toward a sealed passage. The edges bite a little. Nothing dramatic, just enough to remind them it's real work. Something huge sleeps behind it. Calm. Familiar. I exhale and let it go for now. A thin cry echoes from above. I move. My body flows into a narrow shaft and climbs with surface tension and a little help from gravity I insist should behave. It obeys. Fresh air touches me at the top. The slit opens into a wide cavern mouth that looks over a forest. Trees carry rivers of blue-green magicules. Wind rubs against bark and makes dull music. 2 shapes crouch near the entrance. Goblins. Skinny frames, dull knives, eyes flinching at every sound. The smaller one holds a broken spear. He freezes when I appear. He tries to speak and fails. The older one swallows and tries instead. A monster, honored, it's okay, I say. I'm not here to hurt you. His shoulders drop a little. Are you the one from the cave? The air changed. I woke up. That's all. I look past them into the trees. You're shaking. What's wrong? The smaller goblin finally finds his voice. Wolves, he whispers. The Black Fong Pack. They take our food. Take our people. We hide here when the howls come close. My core settles. The impulse isn't anger. It's a simple decision. Where is your village? South G Gully by the Crooked Pine. He watches my surface ripple, as if that matters. Please don't be angry. We have nothing to offer. I didn't ask for anything. I ease forward and tilt. Lead me. They exchange a quick look. The older one nods like he's decided to gamble and hurries down the slope. The forest greets us with warm shade and rot that smells honest. Insects drum. Birds pretend not to exist. I read the ground as we move. Tracks cross and loop. Many feet, many hungry bellies. The goblin village sits in a bowl of earth around a dying fire. Mud huts lean. The fence is a joke that even the goblins know is a joke. The moment we step in, a dozen heads lift. A larger goblin with a cracked horned helm shuffles out. He's not strong, but his spine tries to be. I'm the chief, he says. Riggered. He bows too low and has to fight to stand back up. Welcome, oh, he squints, slime. Rimuru. I answer. Just Rimuru. Riggered tries the name out silently and nods. We are grateful for anything, Rimuradano. His throat tightens. We cannot pay. The wolves. We'll talk. I look around. Kids peek out. An old goblin with one eye clutches a bundle of herbs. A woman adjusts a rag over a sleeping baby and pretends not to stare. How many wolves? Riggered rubs the bridge of his nose. 20 to 30. Sometimes more when they gather. The leader is different. Smarter. Eyes like knives. His voice drops. We try to fight. We lost too many. How long until night? Not long. I set a simple goal. Keep these people alive through the next moonrise. Decide the rest after. I speak to the air. Manus, here. I need a perimeter that can flex. Not a dome, a funnel. Push pressure where I need it. Manus, use Covenant King, segment barriers, dynamic density. Uriel works here as a barrier authority, part of my system, not a separate mind. The pushback leaves a faint tremor in his fingers. He hides it and keeps moving. I'll handle flow. Good. Riggered shifts his weight. Rimuradano, I'll help. Gather everyone inside the fence. Keep a fire but low. No panic. When you hear me speak, do what I say. Riggered opens and closes his mouth twice, then bangs his fist against his chest. As you command, the call spreads. Goblins hustle. They don't move fast, but fear fuels them. I follow the fence line and taste the posts. Rot. I fix the weak points with a thin coat of hard magicule, then realize I'm micromanaging wood and huff a laugh at myself. Focus. Dusk thickens. The forest changes key. The howls arrive as a rolling edge of sound from the north ridge. Riggered tenses, then forces his hand still. It always starts there, he whispers. Then that's good. I say, Manus, Predator signatures at 32. 1 Alpha class approaching. Estimated arrival, 2 minutes. I'm moved to the village entrance. The children cluster around Riggered's legs. He pats their heads with the same hand that grips his club. I face the ridge. The first eyes appear between trunks. Gold dots, then bodies. Direwolves, midnight coat, and shoulders as tall as a man's chest. They fan out with simple intent. Surround, break, feed. The biggest, one steps forward. His mane spikes like black glass. Scars cross his muzzle in a map of old choices. He bares his teeth. Food, he growls. Riggered flinches. I raise a surface hand. Hello, I say. The wolf pauses. It's small, that pause, but it's there. Leave, I add. Find your meals somewhere else. I'm not letting you take from them. Laughter spills from the pack, like coins. The alpha's head tilts. Slime speaks. Slime protects, I say. The hooded wind lifts the smell of them, blood, damp fur, old hunger, and my core goes cold. I don't shout. Uriel, Manus, Covenant King, deployment authorized. The air hardens without a sound. A clear wall builds from nothing and bends around the village like a second fence. The wolves crash on it with claws that screech and teeth that grind. The barrier flexes and holds. Eyes flash. Confusion. Rage. They throw themselves again and again. I talk because silence would feel like I'm hiding. I told you to leave. The alpha slams and rebounds. He shakes his head and spits foam. Trick. Order, I correct. The kind that keeps people alive. He snarls. Open. Fine. I point. The barrier gives in a narrow wedge. A mouth that leads into the cleared space in front of me. A funnel like I asked. The wolves take the invitation exactly how I expected, reckless and proud. They pour into the channel, bodies pushing bodies. Close it, I say. The wedge vanishes. Half the pack is trapped inside the inner space now, cut off from their brothers by a wall they can't see until they're on it. Now what? The alpha snaps, pacing outside. Now we finish this without any goblin dying. He lunges toward me. The barrier denies him with an invisible hand across the face. He reels back with a yelp, then that makes two smaller wolves stumble sideways. Inside the inner space, trapped wolves slam into the inner curve and bounce. Panic grows. The line breaks. I extend a thin filament from my body and snap it across the ground. Magic gathers at the tip. I don't need anything extravagant. Heat with shape will do. Contain and sear, I say quietly. It works, but it steals a breath from everyone holding the line. Monis acknowledged. Thermal control at micro precision. Flame blooms in a ring a meter away from the nearest goblin hut. It's not wild, not a wave. It's a collar that lights, tightens, and fades, leaving fur and pride singed but flesh intact. Yelps become whines. The trapped wolves scramble into a tight cluster, hackles down. Outside, the alpha rams the barrier again. Coward magic. He wants a clean fight. He thinks that will restore something he lost a while ago. It won't. I lower the inner barrier a handspan. The wolves inside see the gap and throw themselves low to escape. I raise it again before the last tail clears. They skid to a stop and collapse in a heap at my feet. I look at the alpha. Last chance. Leave. His chest heaves. He stares at me long enough that the pack's breath turns into a single sound. Then he bares his throat. Just a fraction. Submission. Not joy. Just math. I nod. The alpha steps into the funnel on his own. I keep the barrier tight until he's alone with me. The other wolves pace outside. Eyes on him. Eyes on me. Confused by everything. He stops 2 paces away. His hackles look like broken spears. Name, I say. Do you have one? He looks like the idea surprises him. Chief. Only that. Okay. I study his face. There's stubborn there, and a core that didn't break even when the world leaned on it. He could be worse or better. He could be a monster forever or something else. The decision is mine. Serve me, I say. Guard this place with me. I'll feed your pack. You'll keep your fangs off the weak. You'll learn to think past hunger. His ears twitch. Why? Because someone strong has to decide what strength is for. His eyes flick to the goblins at the fence. Kids clutch Rigurd's legs and gape at the wolf like he's a statue that might move. The alpha looks back at me. He lowers his head. I serve. The word is bear. It's enough. Power rolls off my core like a tide. I don't need a force. The naming impulse rises. I can ignore it. I can also follow it and make the next night easier. I touch my surface to the alpha's muzzle. Your name is Ranga. Light snaps. Not blinding, just true. It pours down his spine and into the earth, then back up again. Ranga's shoulders rise, muscles knotted to springs. A horn breaks the skin of his forehead and curves clean. His breath comes out in a cool cloud that smells like storm water. The pack outside drops to their bellies as if lightning walked through them. Ranga blinks in slow shock, and then bows low until his nose presses the dirt. My lord, Rigurd's knees give out behind me. He catches himself with both hands and wheezes like a fan that needs oil. Rimuru named the sky beast, he whispers. Stand up, Rigurd, I say. Please. He obeys and tries to hide the way his hands shake. I forgive me. It's okay. I point at the wolves still trapped outside the inner line. Ranga, tell your pack the rules. Ranga lifts his head and speaks with a new weight. Our fangs are not for the weak. They are for the ones who come to hurt this place. We hunt beyond the South Ridge. We do not take from the goblins. We will die before we break this word. The pack whines their acceptance. It isn't pretty. It is real. I release the inner barrier fully. Wolves spill forward and then stop when Ranga raises a paw. He moves through them with little bumps and touches until they find places to sit. Their eyes stop screaming. Their tails lie quiet. Rigurd drags a hand across his face and stares at me. You could have slaughtered them all, he says. You did not. I didn't need to. He bows again, slower this time, like it means something he can hold. You have saved us. I nod because the moment doesn't need more talk. My body relaxes, and with it, the forest seems to step back a half step too. We make a circle by the fire. The night smells like cooked roots and smoke and fur dry by heat. Goblins bring wooden bowls and apologize for them. I take a bowl and taste something like bitter turnip and ash and decide it's excellent. Ranga lies at the edge of the light with his pack curled against him in a shape that says, we are staying. The youngest pup opens one eye, sees me, and closes it again with a small sigh. The sound pulls a smile out of me that I don't hide. Rigurd sits close with two elders. His voice drops. There are others in the forest. Ogres, lizardmen, dryads. The storm dragon sleeps in the prison in the east, or so the tales say. They will see the walls you made tonight. Word moves. I know. I say. The sealed presence under the mountain stirs at the edge of my mind like a whale sighing underwater. Not a threat, not a friend, not yet. We'll handle it when it comes. Rigurd nods like he wanted someone to say exactly that. A small goblin girl inches forward with a leaf cup of water. She can't be more than 6. She keeps her shoulders tight so the water doesn't splash. For you, RIMURU, she says, careful on the name. Thank you. I take the cup and absorb the water. The girl's eyes widen. Then she laughs into both hands and runs back to her mother. The mother bows without letting go of her daughter. Rigurd watches them. We have not laughed at night for many nights. Sleep, I say. You'll be safe. He returns to the work of being a chief, which is mostly walking in circles and letting people touch his arm. I sit with my bowl and my thoughts. Manus, listening. That funnel trick? Good control. Thank you. Manus, you directed the outcome. I handled flow. Credit is shared. I huff. You sound pleased. Manus, observation. You chose to add a name instead of subtracting lives. Outcome. Stable ally. Reduced future threat. Increased local morale. This aligns with your stated preference. Protect first. Dominate only as necessary. Did I say that? Manus, not allowed. I stare into the fire. The flames show me nothing fancy. Just light and heat doing what they do. This is fine. Why am I like this? I ask. Why start this strong? Manus, authority of origin requires stewardship. Someone must carry weight others cannot. It is inefficient to begin weak when the position demands immediate order. That sounds like a lecture. Manus, it is a justification. You do not require it, but you requested it. Fair. I roll the bowl between two tendrils. Do I have a choice? About how to use this? Manus, always. Power defines options, not decisions. I will recommend paths that preserve your core intents. You choose. Then here's what I choose. I look at the sleeping wolves, the little houses, Rigurd arguing gently with two elders who want to give me all the food and none to themselves. No more easy prey. Not here. Not while I'm around. Manus, logged as priority directive. A quiet settles that isn't just night. It's the kind of quiet people make when worry loosens. I spend the next hour walking the fence and making tiny fixes, harding a post, sealing a crack in a roof, burning a ring of bugs that keeps chewing through a child's blanket and leaving the rest alone. I don't rush. I don't need to. Time is elastic when thought runs fast and hands don't tire. At the far edge of the village, a bent goblin sits alone, grinding herbs with a flat stone. His one eye lifts. You are not afraid, he says. Of? I ask. He waves at the trees, the sky, the sleeping wolves. Of being seen. I'm not hiding. I answer. That's the point. He nods like I said something clever. We tried hiding, he says. We got smaller. Not anymore, I say. He grins with 3 teeth and goes back to his herbs. When I finally settle, the fire is low and the stars are thick. Ranga snores with a low thunder that doesn't bother anyone. Rigurd sits beside me with a blanket he doesn't wear. He pushes it into my side. It slides off. He coughs and looks away. Sorry, it's warm, I lie. He looks proud. We sit without speaking for a while. Rimuradano, he says at last. Are you a demon lord? The words don't bounce around much. They land where they belong. Yes, I say. From the start, Rigurd's face twitches like he's trying on 3 emotions and none fit. All wins. Then why help us? Because what good is power if the first thing it does is step on someone small? He lets out a breath that might be a laugh, might be relief. Then, will you be our lord? Silence rolls out from the question. It reaches the sleeping wolves and comes back with no teeth in it. I think of the sealed presence in the mountain, of the way the barrier bent, then held, of the little girl who called me RIMURU and tried not to spill a leaf cup, of the voice in my head that doesn't tell me what to be, only how to do what I choose. Yes, I say simply, I'll protect you. We'll make something that lasts. Rigurd puts his face in his hands and breathes out. When he looks up again, he is the same size, but he wears the shape of a chief better. Then tomorrow, he says, we fix the east wall and the well. And we teach the boys to hold a spear without pointing it at their toes. Tomorrow, I agree. He rises with a creak and wanders away to sleep near the fire. I watch embers drift up and blink out. Manus, night watch is unnecessary, but advisable for trust signaling. You mean, stay awake so they sleep deeper. Manus, correct. Done. I sit under the open sky and listen. The forest shifts again toward dawn. Owls trade places with small birds that don't care about anyone's problems. Ranga lifts his head once and scans the dark. I nod at him. He yawns in a way that would be terrifying if he weren't wagging his tail. Footsteps scuff. A goblin boy with a too-big shirt steps into the light and freezes. He holds a stick like a sword. Can't sleep? I ask. He shakes his head. I heard the wolves. They're loud. I say. They're on our side now. He looks at Ranga. Really? He leans on the stick and thinks. If I learn to fight, can I help you keep the wolves good? Yeah, I say. If you learn to think first. He nods like that's fair. Okay. He squints at my surface. Do you sleep? Sometimes. You're not sleeping now? No. He considers, then sits next to me. We share the shape of the fire without touching. He lasts 5 minutes before snoring with his mouth open. I shift a little to block the breeze from his feet. Dawn flares at the tree lean. The low fog lifts like old worry. When the first sunbeam crawls into the village, the child mumbles and rolls over. Rigard wakes with a start, then relaxes when he sees me still there. People start to move. Water boils. A baby wails and stops. Small chores begin in a kind of nervous rhythm that grows smoother with each step. Ranga shakes himself and pads over, head low. My lord, he says, may I run the boundary? Go, I tell him. Take 2. No chasing chickens. His ears dip in embarrassment. Understood. I stand to speak, and I don't need to call for silence. It happens. Last night was the last night you ran from wolves. I say. Today we fix walls. We set rules. We plan for visitors we'll probably get, and for trouble we'll definitely get. I'll be here. They look at me like I'm a door and a wall at once. And for the first time, the weight I woke up with feels right on my shoulders. Rigard bows. Rimuru, he says softly. What should we call you? Rimuru. I repeat. Just Rimuru. He smiles. Then, Rimuru, welcome to our village. Thank you. I say, and mean it in more directions than one. I turn toward the forest. The day smells like wet leaves and something electric waiting in the east. I can feel larger pieces moving already, distant eyes turning, old names waking, balances weighing themselves. It's fine. They can come. I rest a tendril on the fence and feel the grain settle under my touch. Manus, I murmur. Manus, here. Let's build a place where people don't have to look over their shoulders to drink water. Manus, plan drafted. Begin with wells, food storage, and watch posts. Teach 10. Then thing. Authority lends skill. We can compress months into days if we drive hard. Drive hard, I say, but not past people. Manus logged. I step forward. The village steps with me. Behind us, the cave mouth breathes a slow, storm-deep breath that promises a future conversation with an old friend. Not today. Today, goblins measure timbers. Wolves trot the ridge and bark at the empty air just to hear their voices carry. Kids chase smoke and laugh when it dodges them. Rigard argues about nails and loses happily. I pick up a bucket and show 3 boys how to brace with their feet so the weight doesn't twist their backs. They nod like I've given them a secret. Maybe I have. The morning goes on like that. Simple things done right make the ground feel different. When the sun climbs and heat starts to pull sweat out of everyone, I call a break. We share water and roasted roots and something a woman calls leaf cake, which is exactly what it sounds like and better than it sounds like. I look around at faces no longer pinched into fear. I hear the forest outside the walls humming instead of growling. I feel the steady drum of power under my core and understand that this is the point of it. I didn't wake up to own the world. I woke up to set one small patch of it straight, and then the next, and the next. Ready? I ask the air. Manus, always. Good. I clap my hands, an entirely unnecessary gesture I learned because it makes people smile and grin when it works. Back to it. They cheer. It's not loud. It's real. By nightfall, the new fence stands. The well tastes less like mud and more like metal, which is an improvement no one expected. Ranga sleeps with his head across the gate and shifts only when kids use his horn as a handhold to jump over him. He pretends not to notice. He absolutely notices. The stars come out one by one. We light another fire. Different laughter. Lighter. I sit down, and Rigard sits beside me without asking, which is how I know we're starting to get this right. Tomorrow we'll deal with visitors. The ones who come to trade. The ones who come to test. The ones who come because they can smell the dragon I'm not ready to talk about, yet singing under my skin like thunder. When they come, we'll be ready. For tonight, we eat and we breathe, and the wolves sleep with their bellies pointed at the sky like the world won't bite them. That's enough. Chapter 2. Rising of the RIMURU Tempest Federation. Morning hits with hammer rhythm, axes on fresh logs, buckets slapping water. Ranga's tail thumping the dirt like a drum when kids run past. Smoke hangs low. The fence we raised last night holds. Goblins move with a little spring in their steps, like fear took a long walk. I stand on a crate and point. 2 teams on the east wall. 1 team at the well. Ranga runs the ridge with 2 scouts. Rigard with me. Rigard trots over, helmet crooked, grin wide. Rimuru, ah. Rimuru, he corrects, proud of himself. We are ready. Good. I look at the elders who watch the fire with me. They're steady, kind, worn thin. I'll be naming a few of you today. You'll change. Don't panic. If you feel like napping for a week, do in shifts. The old healer with one-eye chuckles. If I sleep a week, the boys will burn the stew. Then we name a cook first. I say, giggles ripple. It's small, real. I raise my hand. Power builds like a breath I've been holding since I woke. Seal. Monis recomposed, renaming itself Seal for higher-order tasks. Seal, naming load calculated. Magicule reserves, functionally inexhaustible. Recommend pacing for safety optics. I'll throttle output. Do it. Rigard steps forward and bows. If you find me worthy, you already are. I touch his brow. Rigard stays Rigard. But you'll grow into the chief you've been pretending to be. Light threads into him and down through his spine. He staggers, gasps, then straightens a little taller. Wrinkles smooth. His eyes clear like a dirty window wiped clean. He touches his chest and laughs once, amazed and a little scared. I feel strong, he mutters, flexing his hands. Use it for work, not for yelling, I say. Yes, Rimuru. I touch the old healer's shoulder. Aruna, I decide. She blinks at the name like it's a coat that fits. Her back stops hurting. She stands upright and gives me a look that could stop a bully at 20 paces. You're in charge of food and sick bodies. Boss people around. I already do, she says deadpan, and the nearby teens groan. Rigard's son, nervous, sharp, steps up next. I am Rigard, he says, steadying his voice. Rigard is. Power flows. His frame thickens. His eyes stop darting and start watching. When it's done, he bows and steps back to steady 2 others through their own turns. One by one, I name elders and a handful of young ones with good hands. They shift into hobgoblins, taller, broader, faces less pinched by constant fear. They test fingers, laugh, cry, hug. Gaba trips over his own feet, then stands, cheeks red. I'm fine, he lies. I ruffle his hair. He puffs up like a pigeon. Ranga sits like a statue, while 3 pups try to balance on his horn. He watches the naming with a proud, sleepy grin. By midday, the village hums on new rails. People keep glancing at each other like they're learning new faces and old friends. We barely get lunch down before trouble arrives. A murmur rolls down the street before I see them. 6 figures moving like they own their steps. Tall, white hair and red eyes here, dark hair and cool stare there, a calm blade elder with a spine like a straight line. Ogres. No, stronger. They smell like mountains and old duty. The lead warrior, spiky red hair, jaw set, stops 10 paces away. His hand rests on the hilt at his waist. The woman with the purple hair and a giant greatsword rested on her shoulder, like most people hold a broom. A quiet man with dark hair and a mask flickers and reappears behind me without sound. Ranga growls once until I raise a hand. Visitors, I say. Welcome to Tempest. The leader's eyes narrow. You name this place. It needed a name. I say, I'm Rimuru. He looks past me at hobgoblins working in teams, at wolves dozing near children at the new fence line. He lifts his chin. I'm Benimaru. Seal throttles the naming output. I rest my core between each surge, so the village sees restraint, not spectacle. We hunt the ones who burned our village. We followed their trail. It stops here. Rigard stiffens. We did no such. I hold a hand. We haven't touched your home. I nod at the masked ninja behind me. But your man just tested our defenses without asking. The ninja's eyes crinkle. He bows. Sui, I saw data. Next time ask, I say. We share if you're polite. A ripple of surprise passes through their group. The older swordsman steps forward, lays a hand on the red-haired leader's shoulder. Let the young lord listen, he says quietly. His voice is sandalwood, firm, warm. I am Haku. Benimaru's jaw ticks. He studies me, then the wolves, then the goblins who don't hide behind me, but stand beside me. If you're not our enemy, prove it, he says. I shrug. Eat with us. Walk our streets. Talk to our people. If you still think we're raiders after that, we'll have the fight you came here for. Cheyenne, the purple-haired woman, leans into Benimaru and whispers not softly. He's cute. Shana, pink hair neat, swats Cheyenne's arm, mortified. Sister, I pinch the bridge of my nose to fight a laugh. It doesn't work. Cheyenne grins wider. Benimaru exhales through his nose. We accept the meal. But if you lie, I won't. I say. Ranga, you and Sui do a lap together. Talk. Keep it friendly. Sui nods once and disappears like a breath. Ranga pads after him, equally quiet for something that large. We eat in the center with bowls balanced on knees. Cheyenne demolishes stew like she's auditioning to be a storm. Shuna eats small bites, eyes flicking over people in a protective way I recognize. Hakuru chews like each mouthful is a conversation. Benimaru sits upright and watches everything. He jerks his chin toward the fixed wall. You did that. With help. I say. Hakuru's gaze warms. You led. I nod. We keep people alive. That's the job. Cheyenne points her chopsticks at my face. You're soft, she says, but not like an insult. Soft is nice. Thank you. I say. Benimaru sets his bowl down. We have enemies, he says simply. Our home is gone. We have people who cannot fight. We need a place, and we offer strength. But we won't bend the knee to a tyrant. Good, I say. I don't want anyone's knee. I want partners. You want work. We have work. I set my bowl aside. I can make you all stronger quickly. It comes with responsibility. You'll protect, not prey. You'll listen when I say hold back. You'll correct my mistakes when I miss something. Shuna tilts her head. You admit you can miss things. I'm not here to be perfect. I say. I'm here to keep people breathing and build something that doesn't break the first time someone knocks. Benimaru's mouth tightens like he's holding back a smile he's not ready to admit exists. You speak simply. It's the only way I think, I say. Cheyenne leans in again. Name us, she says, like she's asking for dessert. If you're what your power smells like, we'll follow you. Hakuru chuckles. Patience, he murmurs. No, she's right, I say. If you stay, you're family. If you leave, we part as neighbors. But I won't keep you half in. Choose. Sui reappears at the edge of the circle with Ranga at his shoulder. Their patrols are real. Their wolves are disciplined. Sui reports softly to Benimaru. Children play. There is no fierce stink. Benimaru stands. He draws his blade half an inch, then slides it back with a click. Name us. Our eyes step close. One by one, I touch my hand to their brows. Benimaru. Power knocks through him like a gong. Heat rolls off his skin. Flame pulls to his breath and waits for orders. Cheyenne. Strength fills her frame, but it's not wild. It's intent, shaped around loyalty and a love of smashing things for people she likes. Shana. Magic tucks into calm folds. Neat and clean. Pure support that could break if she wished, but won't. Sui. The air itself starts liking him more than other people. Shadows look up when he walks by. Hakuru. Not an addition, an unveiling. He stands straighter, and the world steps lightly around his blade. I turn to their last companion. Broad shoulders, quiet eyes, hands already memorizing the placement of every tool on our workbenches with a glance. Kiro, I say. His jaw works. He laughs, deep and pleased, like a forge catching. They bow in sequence. Cheyenne wipes a tear with the back of her wrist, and then pretend she didn't. I glance sidelong at Seal. Harvest Lord. Seal. Ready. Seed distribution mapped. Suggest bespoke unique skill seeds tuned to roles. Minimal side effects. Max morale gain if announced clearly. I face them. One more thing. I'm not just naming. I can share seeds of power. You'll grow into them. They won't control you. I meet eyes one by one. These aren't toys. They're tools. You use them for the Federation, for each other, not for ego. Benimaru's hand tightens on his belt. Understood. Then, I lift my palm. Benimaru, a seed toward a flame lord path. Not raw fire. Command over heat and pressure. You'll cut sieges without burning homes. He exhales as the seed lands. Heat shimmers off him and then fades. Cheyenne, a battle assistant path. Instinct that lines up with what the team needs. Strength that won't break the floor under it. She grins, eyes bright. Perfect. Shana, sacred weaving. Barriers, healing, purify, and cleanse. Make people whole. Her shoulders relax. She nods, grateful. Sui, phantom step. Threads and shadow lines. Information clean and fast. His eyes flicker, pleased. Hakuru, edge sense. Your blade learns. You teach. He bows, lower than before. Hurobe, craft heart. A feel for metal, pressure, balance. Your hands will make this place real. He laughs again, joy booming. I like you, Rimuru. Thank you. I say, grinning. They breathe through the changes. No pain, just the sensation that the floor got wider under their feet. Around us, goblins whisper, excited. Ranga sneezes, and the two pups hanging on his horn tumble off with angry squeaks. He immediately lays his head down, so they can climb back. Welcome to Tempest, I say. Benimaru nods once. We'll earn it. We get back to work. Benimaru organizes a drill line with rigor. Cheyenne clears a hall path with 3 swings while yelling cheerful insults at rocks. Shuna takes over the cooking fire and, in 4 minutes, improves stew by 80%. Sui vanishes and reappears with a precise map of the immediate woods in chalk on a board he made out of nowhere. Hakuru corrects a spear grip, and then 10 more. Hurobe squats by a broken plow and starts planning something I know will work because his face says so. Seal hums at the back of my mind. Morale up 23%. Efficiency rising. External detection. Anomaly east-northeast, 20 kilometers. Strong demonic signature. Bound, dormant. Show me, I think. A map slides across my awareness. Mountains like knuckles, a temple ruin tucked into one, black threads tied in a knot that someone tied around themselves and lost the key on purpose. Take a walk. I tell Rigard. He glances at the bustle and then at the line of wolves sniffing packs for fun. We can hold it. Cheyenne, Benimaru, I call. With me. Sui ahead. Ranga guard. Shuna pouts. I can. Kitchen is a battlefield. I say. We'll starve if you leave. She blinks, then smiles, tiny and smug. We move through the trees at a steady pace. The forest opens into an old path that still remembers feet and prayers. The air changes, cooler, heavier. Sui appears out of nothing, nods toward a set of worn steps. Up, at the top, a temple sighs into view. Broken pillars, weeds stubborn in the cracks. A bowl, altar blackened by time. The demonic pressure hums under it like a bass line. Someone here wrapped themselves in a promise and waited. Careful, Benimaru says. I am. I answer and step onto the altar. The binding is neat work, threads braided to threads, tight circles within circles, a patience you only get from someone who didn't care how long they slept. I speak gently. Hello. Silence at first. Then, like a door opening in a quiet house, a voice slips through. It is smooth, amused, too calm to be anything but dangerous. I wonder when you'd arrive, my lord. Cheyenne grips her greatsword tighter. Benimaru bows his head a fraction, alert. Do you know me? I ask. I've been watching the shape of power move. The voice says, a master worth serving would come through here, eventually. I bound myself to ensure the wrong hands grew bored. And your name? I ask, though I already feel it in the knot of the binding like a signature. A low chuckle. Diablo. Benimaru's jaw ticks. Cheyenne's eyes go wide. She is for once quiet. You trapped yourself? I ask. Not trapped, Diablo says, amused. Waiting. To prove I could. Okay, I say, because it honestly tracks. Do you want out? Only if you speak it, Diablo answers. I am choosy. I look at Seal. Risks. Seal. Primordial class. Loyalty volatility. Low if named formally. Threat to civilians. Minimal under your authority. Threat to everyone else. Yes if unleashed. Compatible with Harvest Lord structure. Recommend clear constraints. Explicit mission focus. I nod. Diablo. I say aloud, letting the word carry weight and intent. Come out. The black knot unravels like it was waiting for that single syllable. Darkness pours and then folds into a shape kneeling before me. Tall, lean, flawless suit, eyes that could cut and polish at the same time. He bows so deeply his forehead touches the cracked stone. My lord, he says, like it is the first honest thing he has said in a long time. Stand, I tell him. He rises and smiles, and it's bright enough to be terrifying. We have rules, I say. We protect first. We don't hurt civilians. We don't start fights we don't have to finish. You'll get plenty of work anyway. I prefer purpose to chaos, Diablo says, eyes warm like a predator in sunlight. Your purpose is elegant. Then you serve Tempest, I say. You serve me. With joy, he says, and means it. Cheyenne leans toward Benimaru and whispers. He's dramatic. Diablo's eyes flick to her, delighted. She blushes and glares like that will fix it. Back home, I say. Diablo looks at the broken temple like he's tasting a memory, then turns away without regret. We move fast downhill. By the time we reach the village, Shuna has organized a line that feeds 200 mouths like clockwork. Haruna opened the buried root cache. Hunters brought small game. Shuna stretched stew with grain from an old store pit. Kirobe is already building a forge frame. Hakuru is correcting Gobta's stance for the 5th time with infinite patience. Rigard attempts to scold a toddler for eating dirt and then gives up, defeated. Diablo takes all of it in with hungry joy. He bows to Haruna with sincere respect. She eyes his perfect suit, grunts, and hands him a ladle. He ladles stew without complaint. 3 goblin women stare. He pretends not to notice. He absolutely notices. Seal, I think, warm spreading. One more stop. By the second morning, Seal understood. Veldora present stable. Seal interface prepared. Chances of collateral. Near zero under Uriel containment. I walked to the cave mouth. I climbed out of on day 1. The air smells like stone and old thunder. Ranga pads behind me and stops at the threshold, instinct tugging him to caution. I'll call you, I tell him. He lies down, chin on paws, solemn as a guard statue. The chamber where I woke is quiet. The pressure I felt then is stronger now, like the ocean behind a cliff. I stand in the middle and place a hand over my core. Hey, I say, ready to stretch? The answer isn't words. It's a laugh that shakes dust off the ceiling, joy savage and harmless at once. Uriel, I whisper. Seal, Covenant King ready. Layered barrier deployed. Seamless venting channel created. Release when you're set. Set. I unseal. The world pulls in and then blows out. Light cracks down the chamber like someone tore open noon. Wind smashes into my face and then hits Uriel's invisible wall and whirls harmlessly. The seal breaks in clean lines. Veldora, the storm dragon, pours out of me like a river finding its old bed. Scales catch the makeshift sun. He roars, and the echo runs through my bones, and then laughs a laugh so delighted it makes me laugh too. Master, he bellows, turning the word into a title and a greeting and a joke at the same time. He swings a paw carefully and taps my shoulder with claws like mountains, trying to be gentle. He succeeds. I say, grinning. You took your time. I slept, he says proudly, then clears his throat. I meditated on the nature of storms. Of course you did. He looks around, satisfied, then lowers his giant head, so we're eye to eye. This place smells like your work, he says. Good. Come meet everyone, I say. We walk out like a parade. Me small, Veldora huge, Uriel holding the world's edges in place, so nothing breaks on accident. Sunlight hits his scales. Kids scream and then scream again, happy this time. Ranga's ears pin and then perk, fascinated. Goblins drop bowls. No one runs. I raise both hands. It's okay. I call. This is Veldora. He's with us. Veldora, to his credit, sits as small as he can, which is not very small, and curls his tail neatly. Hello, he says softer, which is still thunder. I am a good dragon. Work on your inside voice, I mutter. Benimaru plants his feet and breathes once then twice. He bows. Storm dragon, red boy. Veldora replies, delighted. Cheyenne marches up, plants a hand on her hip, and peers at his claw. Can I lift one of these? No. Shuna and I say in perfect unison. Cheyenne pouts. Veldora whispers to me, maybe later. I glare. He looks offended at the concept of safety and then decides he can live with it. Haruna brings a cauldron lid loaded with roasted roots and holds it up like she's feeding a neighborhood cat. Veldora blinks, then flicks a tiny bit of wind to lift a single root into his mouth. He chews like he's practicing being respectful. Haruna grunts, satisfied, and walks away. Diablo stands with hands behind his back, head bowed, just a fraction. He looks like respect wearing a suit. Honored to meet you, he says. Veldora sniffs him. You smell like trouble. Diablo smiles, pleased. I try. Ranga edges closer, sniffs Veldora's paw, then thumps his tail like a drum roll. Veldora bows one-horned head of fraction, and a strange, perfect canine dragon handshake happens that I'm pretty sure seals some pact I didn't ask for, but like anyway. The village learns to breathe again. Fear folds into awe. Awe folds into acceptance. Veldora curls near the outer field and hums storms softly like a lullaby. Children fall asleep, sitting up, faces tilted toward him. By late afternoon, we're ready. I climb onto a stump at the square center. We're doing the big naming now, I call. Not just a few. A lot. We'll pace it, but we can handle it. Seal pings a quiet warning. Optics again. Keep it communal. Let people speak their roles before you name them. It fuses identity to responsibility, not vanity. I raise my voice. Before I call your names, tell me what you do. What you're proud of. What you want to learn. Harness snorts. You heard him. Rigard goes first, because leaders go first when it might be scary. He stands straight. I keep people talking when I want to shout, he says. I will do it better. Rigard, I say, touching his brow again to anchor the promise. Rigard steps up. I run. I listen. I'll lead teams out where it's dark and bring them home. Rigard. Gopta stumbles forward, salutes badly, almost pokes his eye. I will be brave and also smart, he announces, as if it's a compromise with destiny. Laughter is fond, not cruel. Gopta, I say. His grin could power a lantern. Kirobe raises a hand from the forge frame. I make things. Kirobe, I echo grinning. A line forms. Names fall like gentle rain. Guards, cooks, teachers, hunters, weavers, little kids who declare, I will be the best water carrier, with absolute conviction and get named like champions. Each time, power meets intention and seals it. Ranga steps forward last among wolves. He doesn't need a name, but he speaks anyway, voice steady. I guard, he says. I learn. I'll be a bridge. Ranga, I say, hand on his horn. He leans into it, tail thumping. As the sun drops, the air hums with magicules and laughter and the soft thuds of people hugging each other too hard and then pretending they didn't. Cheyenne plants her feet next to me like she's guarding the stump. Shuna hands water to anyone whose face looks flushed. Benimaru scans the outer ring even as he smiles, habit hard to break. Sui melts in and out of sight on errands no one sees. I open my palm. One more gift, I announce. Not names. Seeds. Heads tilt. Seal go. Seal. Distributing low-tier seeds. Coordination. Endurance. Craft sense. Field sense. Calming presence. Threat reading. Minimal strain. Broad coverage. Subtle warmth moves through the crowd. People straighten and look at their hands like they just learned a new way to hold them. No fireworks, no theatrics. Just usefulness. Haruna clears her throat, and only a few people flinch now. Show-offs can go last, she declares to the teens. They boo, then laugh, then obey. Night arrives with soft feet. Lanterns flicker on. Veldora's hum deepens. Diablo glides through the crowd, refilling bowls and listening like a priest and a spy at once. He catches my eye and nods. pleased with the shape of things. Eat. Cheyenne drops down beside me and leans back on her hands, eyes on the stars. So, this is a federation, she says like testing a word. It's a family that writes things down, I say. She snorts, amused. Good answer. Shuna sets a cup beside me. Tea, she says. And thank you. She bows from the waist. I nearly spill the tea, trying to tell her to stop being formal, then give up and bow back a fraction. She smiles, satisfied. RIMURU stays standing. What next, he asks. Dworgen, probably, I say. We'll need tools and training. And the Sorcerer's Nation will come sniffing. That's fine. We have a dragon for a doorbell. He actually laughs. A short, surprise thing. You're serious. Always, I say. And also not. He shakes his head, fond against his will. Sui slides from the dark and leans close. Small figures at the far ridge, he murmurs. Watching. Human gate. Church cut a cloth. Let them watch. I say. They'll see a party, not a massacre. I set the cup down. Tomorrow we plan for guests. Tonight, we keep feeding people. Sui fades, already moving. I stand, lift both hands. The crowd quiets like we practiced it. Listen, I say, and the word reaches all the way to the wolves curled at the gate. You did this. I gave names. You built walls. We'll get things wrong and fix them. We'll get things right and keep them. We don't run from each other. We don't run from work. We don't run from people who need us. I look at Veldora, at Diablo, at Benimaru's steady fire, at Shine's wild grin, at Shuna's calm hands, at Sui's patient shadow, at Hakuru's old bright eyes. Welcome to the RIMURU Tempest Federation. It isn't a cheer that comes back. It's a sound with weight, relief, and promise, and a little defiance for the world outside. After, I drift to the edge of the square. Diablo appears like he walked out of thought. He clasps his hands behind his back. You are generous, he says. I'm efficient, I answer. He smiles, delighted. Same thing in the right hands. Veldora lowers his head until his eye fills my view. I will fly a little, he whispers loudly. Circles, I say. No sonic booms. He says, insulted by the suggestion he would. Then takes off and is very careful not to do it. Cheyenne bumps my shoulder with her arm, casual, steady. If anyone tries to ruin this, she says, I'll hit them very hard. I'm counting on it, I reply. Shuna tucks a blanket over a sleeping child and glances at me. Tomorrow I'll start a clinic. Benimaru can assign me 2 helpers. I will, he says from behind us, already making a list. Ranga yawns a cavern yawn and lays his head at my feet. My lord, he says, voice thick with sleep. Happy, me too, I say. Seal nudges my thoughts. External responses will spike after Veldora's release. Guy Crimson will feel it. Luminous Church already has eyes. The dwarves will smell trade. Eastern Empire probes in a week, perhaps sooner. Recommend. Morning council, afternoon drills, night watch rotation upgrade. Also, eat something that isn't root. I take a bite of leaf cake that someone stuck in my hand and give Seal the satisfaction of hearing the crunch. Tomorrow, I think. We'll handle it. RIMURU, Rigard calls, helmet finally straight. A delegation from Dworgen. Torches on the North Road, of course. I grin, tired in a good way. Benimaru, with me. Shy and smile. Shuna, T. Sui, already watching. Comes the whisper from the dark. Diablo straightens his tie, pleased by the idea of diplomacy, like it's dessert. Veldora circles above, a careful halo of storm that says, politely, try anything, and we'll talk about your life choices. We walk to the gate to greet the first of many. Chapter 3, Diplomacy and Uneasy Alliances. The morning road fills with banners and boot sound. Rigard adjusts his helm and points. North Gate. Dwarven colors. On the 3rd day, I step up on the palisade. A tight column approaches. Iron helms, square shields, a black pickaxe on blue. King Gazel Dworgen rides at the front on a shaggy war ram, armor clean, eyes hard. Beside him, robed riders with pale staves and silver thread on white, Sarian's court mages, glide like the road belongs to them. The Sorcerer King himself rides in the center on a light carriage, calm face, sharp gaze that weighs while it smiles. Ranga rumbles at my side. They smell like rock and order, he says, pleased. Good. I raise a hand. Open the gate. Benimaru, stands to my left with a steady line of hobgoblin guards. Cheyenne plants herself at my right, half guardian, half decoration, happy to be both. Shuna moves behind us with a tray. Cups, hot tea, patience. Diablo watches the road with clasped hands and a soft smile that promises nothing to anyone who wants trouble. Gazel stops 10 paces inside and studies our square. His gaze lands on the dragon's shadow, sleeping beyond the fields, then on the forge frame, the clean well, the wolves that refuse to growl at civilians. He dismounts, hands the reins to a dwarf without looking, and walks straight to me. "Rimuru," he says, solid and flat. "King Gazel." I bow enough to respect, not to kneel. "Welcome to Tempest." He glances once at Benimaru, once at Cheyenne, twice at the gate line. "Your defenses held against the night when we passed," he says. "That speaks well. People sleep better when walls don't argue with wind," I say. He grunts, maybe a laugh. Sarion steps down from his carriage with gentle steps. He is tall, silver hair bound, eyes bright and careful. He takes in the wolves, the goblins, the named ogres who now move like soldiers and neighbors, and then me. "Sarion," I say, offering a hand. He takes it. His grip is warmer than his robes. "Rimuru, your rise has speed. I am here to see if the direction matches the pace." "Then let's sit and talk," I say. We meet in the hall we built from the old store shed. It smells like with smoke and new plans. Shuna pours tea. Gazel sits like a boulder that learned manners. Sarion sits like a scholar who trained with blades anyway. Benimaru stands at my shoulder and it does not fidget. Diablo takes a place near the door, half shadow with perfect posture. Sui is not visible, which means he's where I need him. Gazel opens first. "You released the storm dragon," he says. "That is a line most rulers never cross." "Veldora is my friend," I say, "and a citizen. He will not trample your minds or shout your bridges apart." Gazel's mouth tugs. He will try. He will try less if you ask nicely," I say. That gets me a real laugh from 2 dwarves at the door. Gazel hides a smile in his beard and then lets it go. "Fine. We agree this. The dragon stays outside city centers unless invited. No sudden storms over Dworgen. Give us warning when he stretches his wings." "I could do that," I say. "In return, I want trade lanes and training. We need tools, steel, and the craft that makes them honest. We'll pay with food, protection, and work. I want my people to learn from yours." Gazel nods once, then looks hard at Benimaru, at Cheyenne, at the guards with new strength in their shoulders. "And responsibility," he says. "Power loves to forget it. Will you remember?" "I will," I say. Sarion taps his cup, listening more than speaking. "Your barriers last night were clean," he says. "You snapped a layered field into being without a chant and without burn-off. That is not normal. It's efficient," I say. He watches me closely. "Do you understand what frightens other rulers? It is not that you are strong. It is that you do not seem to need the steps they needed. They trust steps. I can show the steps," I say. "I will publish rules of engagement for Tempest and stick to them. Non-lethal first. Clear orders. Protection priority. You can send observers." Gazel's brows rise. Sarion's mouth twitches, impressed. "You're proposing a code," Sarion says. "For Federation of Monsters. For a nation," I correct. "Names do not decide behavior. Rules do. We sit with that." The hall creaks in the wind. The tea smells like green hills and time I don't have. Gazel leans forward. "Say the words," he says. "What do you want?" "Not today. Not this hour. The shape of it. I want people to sleep," I say. "I want merchants to plan trips by roads, not rumors. I want hungry packs to hunt anything but children. I want to build something that doesn't depend on me standing in the square every dawn with my hands up. I'm not here to be loved. I'm here to set weight where it belongs." Gazel studies me, then nods once. "Good." Sarion folds his hands. "I want access," he says plain, "to the things you build and the ways you built them. Research exchanges. Joint training. We make mistakes slower when we share them." "That works," I say. "We'll draft something." A soft footstep whispers at the door. It is not a dwarf. Sui materializes from the wall and bends close to my ear. "Approach from the west," he says, voice even. 50+ ogres. Blue scars on their arms. Desperate. They smell drugged. Someone pushes them. Benimaru's chin lifts a fraction. Shine's hand goes to her hilt, because her hand likes her hilt, and that is how hands are. Diablo's eyes brighten. Gazel doesn't move. He simply turns his head a degree, already cataloging the options. Sarayan sets his cup down with care. I breathe once. We'll take this outside. I stand. Gazel and Sarayan rise with me. Observe, I tell them. You came to talk about power and responsibility. You can watch both. We walk to the square. Sui is already on the roofline. Benimaru rolls his shoulders. Ranga pads to my left. His fur lifts and settles, ready but calm. Haruna hustles children inside without fuss. Shuna ties her sleeves in a knot and breathes steady. Kiro puts down a hammer like it's a child, and then picks up a different hammer like it's a promise. Dust lifts on the west road. Figures break out of the tree line into the clearing. Ogres, yes, but not Benimarus. Blue paint or tattoo lines slash their arms. Their eyes are red and glassy. They run too fast for their lungs. Their leader, a scarred bull of a man with a broken horn, swings a club that has seen too many wrong uses. Shields! Benimaru calls, voice sharp, non-lethal only. Hold! Rigger's team snaps into a shallow crescent. They do not shake. I pull air into my chest and let it out. Uriel, I say. Soft walls. Funnel wide. Bleed momentum. Seal. Covenant King deployed. Density at 40%. Cushion layers on impact points. Sleep haze ready on my mark. The ogres hit the outer line like a storm in slow mid-step with confusion that looks like pain and is not pain. Clubs glance off a barrier the color of clear thought. Benimaru steps in and knocks a weapon aside with the flat of his blade and the back of his hand. Cheyenne blocks a heavy swing one-handed and shoves the attacker gently into a padded wall that gives, and then returns him to the ground sitting down, surprised and embarrassed. The leader roars and pushes forward. Traitors! Crimson dogs! His eyes lock on Benimaru and twist with old stories and fresh lies. He swings. Benimaru slides under, taps the wrist, and the club flies. The leader stumbles and then stops, panting, trying to remember why he came. Sleep field, I say. Target the back ranks first. Seal, approved. A heatless wave moves through the funnel. It smells like rain and dull hay. The ogres in the third row blink hard, sway, and drop to their knees. The second line wavers. The front line keeps swinging because the front line always does. Diablo appears at the edge of their formation like a thought you tried not to have. He smiles politely. Please stop, he says, and every word clamps gently on nerves. For ogres freeze mid-motion, eyes wide. He takes their clubs away with soft hands and stacks them in a neat pile. Ranga darts in and knocks a pair of legs out from under a charging brute with a paw tap that looks like affection and feels like the ground forgot to be in the right place. He pins the ogre, tail wagging once. Stay, he says. The ogre stays. One heavy ogre charges straight for the line, where two goblin teenagers stand too brave. Cheyenne steps between like a wall and puts one palm on his chest. No, she says. He tries to move through her hand and fails. She angles him down into the dirt, slow. He ends up on his back staring at the sky, very tired. Sarayan watches from 3 paces behind me. Face calm, eyes alert. Gazel's arms fold. You could end this with one gesture, he says quietly. I will, I say. Without breaking bones we can use to build with later. The Blue Scar leader drags himself up and rushes Benimaru again, hoarse. You left us, he spits. You took human coin. Benimaru steps in, catches his wrist, and locks his elbow without pain, only refusal. We died for our home, Benimaru says, voice flat. You've been lied to, the leader snarls, and then chokes on his own breath. His pupils jitter. Seal pings me. Foreign influence. Holy brand residue. Talisman on his belt. Triggered by keywords. So I say. The belt and the one shouting from the trees. On it, a whisper of wind. A string snaps. The talisman clatters to the dirt. Another shape rustles in the brush. A man in a hunter's cloak bolts. Sui is there to meet him, fingers flat. The man collapses with his arms pinned behind him, mouth stuffed with his own scarf. Diablo appears, smiling. He escorts the captive to the square like a gentle usher. I lift my hand. Enough. The pressure drops out of the air. The ogre's still standing sway. Hands open. Clubs fall. The sleep field pushes the last line down to knees like a hand resting on a shoulder. Everyone breathe. I say, no one died. Keep it that way. Gazel's chin dips once. Sarian's brows lift. I kneel in front of the blue scar leader. He wheezes, clears his throat, tries to spit, then thinks better of it when Cheyenne raises an eyebrow. What's your name? I ask. He blinks. A bit of red leaves his eyes. Garm, he forces out, voice raw. Garm, I repeat. Someone used holy magic to push you. He told you lies with heat behind them. Look, I nudge the broken talisman with a toe. He frowns at its white scrap with embossed sun lines. His face falls. Shame hits like a club he actually felt. We protect ogres here, I say. You attacked your own because a voice told you an easy story. He stares past my shoulder at Benimaru. Brother, he mutters, not family but tribe. We heard you took coin. Benimaru's jaw works. He lets out a breath and lets anger go with it. We took names, he says. And work. Garm's shoulder sag. Diablo clears his throat politely. The handler, he says, and tips the hunter forward. The man's cloak is clean. His boots are merchant's boots. A small ring on his finger carries the same sun lines. From Falmouth or the church, I say. You can tell me which. The man glares. Diablo smiles a little wider. The man looks at Diablo and decides to be smart. Falmouth, he croaks once the scarf is out. Paid by a priest with a ring to fix a monster problem before the big one grows. Sarion makes a small sound low in his throat. Gazel's mouth is a hard line. Good, I say. Thank you for telling the truth early. It helps your case. I stand. The square breathes again. I gesture at Garm's band. Water. Food. Then work. You broke our fence on the west post. You will fix it. You will eat at the same fire as us. You will talk to Benimaru tonight, not with fists. Garm stares at me, then drops to both knees and presses his head to the dirt. He doesn't cry. He breathes like a man who forgot how, and just remembered. Harness snaps orders. Buckets. Bread. A line forms. No one pushes. Shuna kneels to check bruises and shakes her head at me. Minimal harm, which is exactly what I asked for. I turn back to Gazel and Sarion. This is the code, I say. Contain. Disarm. Talk. Fix. Gazel snorts. You make it sound like carpentry. It is, I say. People are houses we live in together. He grunts. You'll put that on a banner if you're not careful. Sarion watches the ogres drink. You will make enemies with this, he says. Not the ogres. The ones who use the ogres. They do not like it when tools stop being tools. I know, I say. Let them not like it. We step back into the hall while the square turns a fight into a lunch. Benimaru stays outside to keep the lines from tangling. Cheyenne hovers between door and table, itching to guard and also to pour her own tea. Diablo posts himself at the captive's shoulder and looks politely bored. The man breaks in a sweat anyway. Sui vanishes to follow the scent of whoever hired the handler's handler. Gazel sits and folds his arms. My terms, he says. We sign a non-aggression pact today. We set up a joint patrol along the trade road. I'll send a team of engineers to help you build with stone. You send a team of your best to learn discipline in my barracks. No dragon storms over my forges without 3 hours' notice. Done, I say. Sarion raises a finger. My terms, he says. A research exchange. Barrier theory. Golem labor. Agriculture spells that don't ruin the soil. We open a small academy house here with 2 of my instructors and 2 of yours. We share logs. We write rules for magic accidents with real numbers in them. Also done, I say. And I'll publish our rules of engagement and our town charter on the gate. Gazel snorts again. You'll need a scribe. I have Shuna, I say. And Q-Robe can forge a plaque. Q-Robe, overhearing from the door, pumps a fist like a child who just got a bigger hammer. Plaque, he says, happy. Sarion sips his tea and says nothing for a long breath. Then he smiles, small but honest. You are dangerous in the right direction, he says. I try, I say. Gazel leans forward and taps the table with 2 fingers. Last condition, he says. When you're stuck, you call. Pride kills leaders. I don't have time to watch you learn that the hard way. Agreed, I say, and mean it. He sits back, satisfied. Good. Outside, the air lifts with a low dragon hum. Veldora circles once, and very deliberately does not break sound with his wings. He is learning. The dwarves at the gate point up and grin despite themselves. Children chase the shadow and fall down, laughing. Cheyenne peeks out and sighs. He's cute, she says. Gazel raises an eyebrow. You call a dragon cute. Sometimes, Cheyenne says, and Shuna smacks her arm without looking. Cheyenne pouts and drinks tea like she meant to be scolded. Sui slides out of shadow at my side and murmurs. The handler's path goes east to a warehouse, then splits. Church coin. Falmouth seal. They're testing. Let them test slow. I say. We'll answer fast. Night creeps down the walls by inches. We write the pact on paper first, because people like paper even when they trust words. Shuna writes clean. Gazel signs with a stamp older than my forest. Sarion draws a glyph that holds itself together without power. I add my name and don't make a speech. We walk Gazel and Sarion back to the gate at dusk. The air smells like stew again. Garm's band lifts new timber into place with Benimaru showing where to put hands. They work slow and careful like shame can be turned into good wood if you lift right. The captive handler sits on a bench with wrist bound and a full bowl he hasn't touched yet, because Diablo told him to breathe before he eats, and he is following directions like a man who has learned to follow directions. Gazel looks once more at the square, then at me. You are an odd lord, he says, but a good one. I will make mistakes. I say. You will fix them, he says, and claps my forearm like we fought. We'll bring stone. Sarion lifts 2 fingers in a casual blessing that is also a mathematical sign. We'll bring books, he says. Try not to blow up the school before I arrive. I'll try, I say. He smiles. I believe you. They ride out with guards tight and banners rolled, not in fear, just in habit. The gate closes. The village exhales. Rigard sidles up. We fed the ogres, he reports proud. They ate like they were sorry. Good, I say. Ranga leans his head against my side. I chase 2 children away from the forge gently, he says. They will live. They will, I say, and scratch behind his ear. He thumps his tail once. Cheyenne nudges me with an elbow. You didn't kill anyone today, she says, half tease, half statement. That was the point, I say. She grins. Tomorrow we break more rocks. Tomorrow we break more rocks. I echo. Seal hums in my mind. Allies gained. Threats mapped. Reputation. Talks first, wins anyway. Recommend publishing code on gate and at well. Also, Veldora requests a banner with his face. I sigh. We'll discuss the banner. Banner. Veldora booms from above, hearing somehow, then lowers his voice. Banner. Shuna brings another tray of tea and places a cup in my hand. Her touch is steady. You did well, she says. We did, I answer. Benimaru steps in, eyes still on the western sky. We'll take the night watch, he says. Garm's men will work under rigor tomorrow. I'll talk to them now. Thanks, I say. He hesitates. You let me speak for us out there, he says. Thank you. You are us, I say. He nods and goes. I look around the square. Broken fence replaced. Sleep snoring from the ogre heap. Children playing guard with sticks and very serious faces. Harna arguing with Diablo about exactly how many onions a stew can take before it becomes crime. Diablo is delighted to lose. Sui is a shadow on a roofline. Gazel's and Sarion's signatures dry on a table inside. The dragon hums, soft, like a song with 2 notes. We will have more guests. We will have worse days. That's fine. Tonight, the gate is shut. The rules are clear on a chalkboard. Rigard insists is a plaque, and the forest sounds like a thing that can be lived in. Seal. I think simple. Seal. Here. Log it. We didn't break anyone to keep the peace. Logged. Seal answers. And we made 2 kings do paperwork. I smile into my tea. Good day. Chapter 4. Shadows and Betrayal. Rain hits at noon and ruins nothing. That's our first clue. Grain should swell. Barrels should weep. But the north granary floor is bone dry under a thin layer of wet. Harna crouches, rubs fingers together, frowns. Film, she says. Not water. Something slick. I touch the plank. A faint sheen clings to the wood. It sheds water. It also smells wrong, sweet, then sour, a little like old copper. Seal. Trace agent detected. Glycoresin binder, priest grade. Purpose. Repel water and accelerate spoilage at air interfaces. Applied last night. I look at the lock. No scratch. The hinge pin, though, is a hair high, like it left and came back. So I say. His shadow stands up from the wall. Here, 2 visitors, I say. One lifted the door without touching the lock. One painted right on the floor. Find their feet. He nods and is gone. Second clue. The west gate wedge bolts. Kirob's brown knots. This isn't weather, he mutters, showing me a bolt that spins freely. The threads are shaved clean. The good kind of sabotage, quiet until it matters. Third, the well. Shuna's purify spell should be overkill for a village cistern. Today, the surface takes 2 tries to run clear. Her jaw tightens. Someone dusted the stones, she says softly. Blessing salt with a twist. Would have made children sick. I stand in the square and watch people work. They don't know, not yet. That is good. Panic makes hands stupid. Seal, I think. Log time windows. Seal. Granary contamination window. Midnight to second bell. Gate bolts. During drum change, third bell. Well dusting dawn. 3 hands or 1 fast one. I say. Seal. Likely 2. Trail overlap minimal. 1 uses cloth and oil. 1 leaves thread dust and chalk. Sui will sort it. Benimaru arrives at my shoulder without being called. We lock down? He asks. Quietly, I say. 2 outer patrols. No shouting. Let people see us working like a market day. He nods and moves. Rigger peels off with the team. Cheyenne hooks her greatsword on her back and cracks her knuckles like a hymn. By sundown, we've mapped 5 small things. A missing coil of rope replaced by a weaker one. A ledger page torn clean from the bottom stack. 2 ward pegs nudged out of their sockets by a careful half-inch. A rumor about Ranga growling at child he didn't, and a lantern wick soaked so it would flare hot and fast. No fire started. No gate failed. Grain didn't rot. Someone is testing edges. Someone wants doubt. Sui returns at dusk with his mask hanging at his throat. He holds out 2 bits of cloth between 2 sticks. One is fine white, chapel linen with a sunburst thread. The other is rough gray, caravan wrap with a faint vinegar smell. 2, he says. Church hand at the well and granary. Caravan hand at the gate and rope. They met behind the tannery, did not speak, shared signal chalk on a post. I nod. Where now? Sui points. Gray cloth sleeps with the 3rd wagon in the east lot. White cloth sits in the ale shed across from Haruna's kitchen and thinks he is invisible. Benimaru, hold the outer ring, I say. Cheyenne, with me to the ale shed. Diablo, please say hello to the wagon. Diablo bows. With pleasure, we move. No fanfare. Sui takes the right roof. Ranga pads left, silent for a creature the size of a horse. The ale shed smells like wet wood and old barley. A man sits behind stacked casks with a hat pulled low. He's too clean for a brewer, too still for a drunk. I stop where he can see me. Evening, I say. Drink. He doesn't answer. Cheyenne shifts her weight, and the boards sing. Say hello, she suggests, polite in a way that means the opposite. The man lifts his head. Neat hair, pale skin that sun doesn't like. A small sunburst ring flashes on his finger when he adjusts his sleeve. Rubrios, I say. Holy Empire. Or just a man who likes jewelry. Silence, then a faint smile. You're more direct than the stories. I don't have time to be vague, I say. Your friend at the wagons is being treated kindly. You could save us all 10 minutes by telling me your name. He weighs the offer. Ramu, he says at last. The name it's my ear odd. A Tempest guard was reported missing 2 nights ago. Same name. My shoulders go tight. Borrowed? I ask. Stolen, he says, and that's honest in a crooked way. Cheyenne's hand flexes. Where's our Rimuru? Alive, the spy says. He nods toward the floor. Under the old boards of the smoking shed, bound but breathing. I'm not a butcher. Good, I say. Cheyenne vanishes in a blur. A beat later, a whistle. Sui answers from the roof, a quiet trill that means found. I let the anger go. It goes easy when the worst outcome doesn't happen. What's your real name? I ask. He hesitates. The ring glints. Cleric, he says. That's enough. Your job. I ask. To make the water taste wrong, he says. to make bolts loosen, to slip out into your grain. Nothing big, just the little cuts that add up when you don't have time to check them. Then a loud fire? I ask, glancing at the oiled lantern wick I took from Shuna. He nods once. If the small cuts don't work, orders from Luminous? I ask. Orders from a cardinal who thinks he speaks for her. He replies. He wants a crusade. He needs you to look like a monster first. I believe him. It matches the pattern. Why help me now? I ask. You caught me, he says, almost amused. That's not an answer, I say. He studies my face. Because you found your guard alive, he says. Because you didn't break the ogres yesterday, when you could have. Because your dragon eats roots from a plate like a train bear. Because your people laugh at night. His mouth tilts. Because I was told monsters don't do that. And I don't like being told. Cheyenne returns leading a dazed young hobgoblin with a gag in his mouth and fear in his eyes. She unties him quick, checks his wrists, taps his cheek. Breathe, she orders. He breathes. He looks at me and cries once in his throat, angry with himself for it. I put a hand on his shoulder. You're back, I say. He nods, wipes his face, and doesn't let go of my sleeve until he's ready. I turn back to the spy. You used his name? I say. I needed to move inside, he replies. I picked one who wouldn't be missed immediately. Not because he isn't valued. Because he's new and quiet and goes where told. It worked. Cheyenne's eyes go thin. Give me 10 minutes with him, she says, friendly in the way that is not. No, I say. She swallows it and steps back half a pace so she doesn't say it again. Cleric, I say. Here's what's going to happen. You're going to tell me the signal paths, payment drops, what rings mean what. In return, you don't die, you don't lose fingers, and you don't get your mind torn open. You go to work for me instead. He blinks. Just like that. Not just like that. I say. You'll wear an oath. You'll eat with the people you try to poison. You'll sit in a clinic and watch Shuna stitch the hands of children you almost burned. And you'll get a chance to make it right. I don't do revenge. I do repair. He waits for the trick. And if I refuse, you can refuse. I say. You'll sit in a cell, and we'll keep you clean and fed. I won't torture you. I won't parade you. I have better work. But you'll waste time, and so will I. He looks at Cheyenne. She looks like a mountain that wants to be thrown. He looks at RIMURU, who steadies on his feet, one hand still gripping my sleeve. He looks at my face and sees that I'm not bargaining for show. You would trust me? He asks. No, I say. I would watch you. He laughs once, surprised by it. Then he nods. Fine, good. I extend a hand. Your real name. Let me have it. He looks at my palm like it's a cliff and then steps off it. Valen, he says, of the Silver Basilica. Third circle. I serve Luminous, or I did. Valen, I say, anchoring it. Kneel. He kneels without drama. Seal, I think. I need a binding that isn't slavery. Consent-based. Breaks on cruelty. Holds on harm. Seal. Template ready. Oath band. Clear oath. Clause 1. Obey Rimuru's laws inside Tempest. Clause 2. Report all church contacts. Clause 3. No harm to civilians. Clause 4. Break if commanded to commit atrocity. Penalty on breach. Stun and truth sickness, not death. Consent required. Good, I think. Aloud. Valen of Rubrios, do you consent to serve Tempest under clear oath? He licks dry lips. I consent, he says, voice steady. Light isn't necessary, so I keep it small. A thin sigil wraps his wrist and fades. He exhales like he was bracing for fire and got rain. Stand, I say. Start with the chalk at the tannery. He does. He talks. He gives the chalk code. 3 lines, not 2. Means drop moved. He gives the coin mark. Rubrio stamped, sanded, and repressed with Falmouth face. He gives the schedule. 3rd bells because priest prays 2nd bell and no one suspects him after. He gives the faces. A merchant with a mole under his eye, a woman with red thread on her left sleeve. He talks fast and clean. Cheyenne memorizes and glares. Sui melts and remelts, setting catches with a new map. I listen for lies and hear none. When he's done, I nod. Eat, I say. Then you're coming with me to apologize to Haruna and to Rigard. And to RIMURU. He swallows hard. That part will be worse than any cell. That's the point. I say. We do it. Haruna stares him down until he looks at his feet. He says the words. She grunts. You wash the boards, she says. With your hands. He does. Rigurd listens without moving. His jaw tightens. He makes a small gesture. Stay, he says. Work. Valen bows. RIMURU stands quiet, then punches Valen once in the shoulder and shakes his hand out because it hurt him more. Don't do it again, RIMURU says, cheeks hot. Sir, he adds at me, embarrassed. I nod. Night closes. The village is steady. The saboteur is now a set of eyes on the thing he used to be. The caravan hand, gray cloth, sits in a holding pen with a blanket and stew. Diablo questioned him with professional kindness and learned 3 merchants' names and a warehouse door that doesn't lock at dawn. Sui will visit it. I sit on the low step outside the hall and watch the last lanterns go out. Shine drops beside me and kicks her heels. You're too soft, she says, not like an insult. I'm particular. I answer. She leans her shoulder into mine. I like that better. Ranga pads over and sets his chin on my knee. We found 2 more chalk marks, he says, proud. Good boy, I say, and he pretends to hate the words. Benimaru stops in front of us. Church won't stop with chalk, he says. I know, I say. Tomorrow we publish the code. After that, we write to Gazel and Sarion with the patterns. If church coin funds Falmouth trouble, I want both of them to see it. He nods. And us. We keep the rules and keep the lights on, I say. He grins, short. Easy. Never, I say, and he laughs once. Valen approaches with clean hands and a face that looks older by a year. He clears his throat. RIMURU, he says. Yes, if Luminous herself orders this war, he says, you won't be able to turn me. I'm not asking you to. I say, I'm asking you to tell me when the order comes. He nods, grateful that I didn't make him promise something his bones couldn't hold. Go sleep, I say. In the clinic. Harna will wake you at dawn and complain that you snore. He bows. Thank you. He leaves. Shine watches him go. He'll run, she predicts. He'll try. I say. The oath will trip him. He'll vomit and come back. She scrunches her nose. Gross. Effective, I say. She smiles. I said you're soft, not stupid. Note it, the night is thin. The air is clean again. The well smells like stone and water, not salt. I breathe once. The weight sits right. Seal, I think. Log another rule. We don't fix lies with new lies. Seal logged. Advisory. Observation in Rubrio's Cathedral District shows strategic movement. Would you like a summary? Show me. I think. The world narrows to a cold, clear picture across distance and stone. A spire like a blade. Stained glass dark. Candles low. Luminous Valentine stands on a balcony cut for a ruler who doesn't need sleep. The night does not touch her. The city below is quiet. It is the quiet of obedience. Reports, she says. A cardinal steps forward, robes careful. Tempest grows, he says. The slime names monsters and gives them order. Dworgen and Sarion drank his tea. Our hand in the woods failed. Silence. Luminous looks at the window. Her voice is soft. Children, alive, he says quickly. We did not reach them. Good, she says. The word makes the room colder. Hinata. Luminous calls. Armored steps. Hinata Sakaguchi bows, hand on sword. Your will. No crusade, Luminous says calm. Not yet. The cardinal flinches. But silence is not a shout. It closes throats anyway. We do not burn because we are afraid, Luminous says. We cut because we must. You will not spray fire over a market and call it justice. The cardinal swallows. Then what? Information, Luminous says. Find the spine of this federation. Test its rules. Who eats last? Who is forgiven? Where the dragon sleeps. How the demon smiles. Hinata's mouth twitches, approval. And if the spine holds, then we bargain, Luminous says. And if it fails, Hinata's eyes are iron. We kill quickly. Good, Luminous says. She turns from the window. Her face is not cruel. It is clear. Send envoys to watch, she says. Priests who can count. Knights who can wait. Do not provoke the dragon. Do not martyr the slime. If Falmouth moves without my voice, let them bleed and learn. She steps past the cardinal. He bows too late. Luminous, he starts. Do not use my name to excuse your fear, she says without looking at him. If you want war, because it makes you feel important, retire. He shudders. Hinata smiles, small, sharp, hidden, and follows her lady into the shadowed hall. The balcony stays empty and cold. The city breathes because it is allowed. The picture fades. The village replaces it. Warm, loud, tired in a good way. Seal is a quiet hum. War is not tonight. Preparations will accelerate. We have days, or fewer. Enough, I think. We'll take them. I stand. Shine stands too. Ranga rolls on his back to demand a belly rub, and I give him one because I am weak. Benimaru checks the east watch. Sui is already a rumor by the warehouse door he plans to open without touching it. Haruna snores in the clinic on a stool with a ladle in her hand like a weapon. Shuna folds blankets that are already folded because it calms her. We have shadows. We have eyes in the cathedral now. We have rules, and we use them. Tomorrow we publish them on a plaque. Kurobe swears will not fall, even if Eldora sneezes. Tomorrow we eat early and work longer and watch closer. Tonight we sleep. Chapter 5. The Clarion Call of War. Dawn starts with horns. 2 short blasts from the north ridge. 1 from the east, late by a breath. The village wakes as if it trained for this, because it did. Rigger runs to me at the square, out of breath but steady. Standards on the far road, he says. Falmouth colors. Church white behind them. Count is climbing. Sui lands on the porch rail without a sound. Scouts confirm 3 prongs, he says. North road, east road, and through the river shallows. Siege carts in the second ranks. Priests at the rear. How long? I ask. Before noon, he says. They're pushing fast. I nod once. Raise the code and the charter, I tell Riggard. Gate boards, well, board and clinic door. He slams a fist to his chest and runs. Benimaru steps in my sight with his chalkboard already half filled. 2 lines on the north, he says. 1 on east. Reserve at the square. Ranga flanking with wolves. I'll take line 1. Good, I say. Cheyenne swings her greatsword up and catches it like it weighs nothing. I'll sit on the east road and yell at anyone who looks brave. Take Kurobe's barricade crew. I say. You'll want height. Diablo folds his hands behind his back. He looks amused and ready. Shall I educate the priests on the limits of theater? He asks. You'll lead countercasters, I say. No killing unless I call it. Strip spells. Disarm. Pin. Be bows. Understood. Shuna ties her sleeves, already moving. Clinic is up in the old school, she says. Healers on rotation. Purify on the well, every bell. Haruna runs the food lines, I add. She is command. When she shouts, you listen. Seal hums in my head. Recommendation. Publish a simple order of operations at each post. Use verbs. People remember verbs under stress. Do it, I think. Seal. Print it on boards. See, call, hold, shield, pull, breathe. Ranga, I call. He trots up, tail already whipping. Here, you own the shadows between lines. I say. No lone heroes. You bite ankles and drag people out before they break. Bring 2 pups. Leave the wild ones. Understood, he says, serious and pleased. I step up on a crate and face the square. People gather with tools and spears and rope. The goblin kids stand on their toes in the back and try not to tremble. The ogres from yesterday, Garm's band, stand in a clump with shame washed off and purpose on. The dwarven engineer team from Gazel, 5 of them, check the gate hinges like they're saying prayers. 2 of Sarian's mages draw neat circles in chalk and argue quietly about airflow. I lift both hands. Listen, I say. The square stills. We train for panic, I say. So we don't have to panic. This is for Tempest. We will hold. We will protect. We will not break our code. Civilians to shelters A and B by the well and the smithy. Healers to the clinic. Water lines ready. Fire teams only on order. If you don't have a job, go to Haruna. She will find you one. Haruna steps forward like a general. If you loiter, I will use you as a stool, she announces. Laughter breaks tight faces. That helps. I go on. Rules on the board are the same as yesterday. Non-lethal first. Talk when you can. Pull wounded back to the blue flags. Keep your heads. Breathe. I point at my chest and then at them. Focus. This is for Tempest. They say it back, quiet first, then stronger. This is for Tempest. I nod. Move. The square becomes motion with order. Rigger runs 2 squads to the north wall. Kirobe's crew shoulders timber and braces. Cheyenne's team drags barricade carts to the east. Shuna's helpers lay blankets in the clinic and set bowls beside them. Diablo takes 3 demons, 2 mages, and Valen, hood down, oathband faint on his wrist, and they trot for the rear positions with scrolls and rope. Sui evaporates and reappears on a roofline, then is gone again. Benimaru stays on my shoulder. We hold the call for Veldora, he says. We scare them with walls and calm first. We do, I say. He's our last word. A high laugh cuts the air from overhead. Everyone looks up. Malim drops out of the sky in a bright spin and lands hard enough to shake dust off the gate lintel. She stands with hands on hips, grin too wide for a normal day. You started without me, she says, fake offended. Hello, I say, relieved in a way I don't show. We saved you the fun part. She bounces once on her heels. I brought snacks, she says, then frowns and whispers. I ate them. Cheyenne squints. Of course you did. Malim wags a finger. I'm stronger when I'm fed. You're stronger when you're breathing. I say. You take the open sky. Sweep and thump. If they bring a hero, you play with them away from the walls. Malim salutes with absolute seriousness. Yes, Captain Slime. Then she leans in closer, eyes bright. You're not scared. I am. I say plain. I just don't have time to show it. She nods, satisfied. She reaches up on toes and pecks my cheek fast. Warm shock hits my face. I pretend I'm made of stone. She giggles and springs into the air. Veldora rumbles from the far field, amused. Cheyenne smirks. Benimaru coughs into his fist and studies the sky too hard. Diablo looks delighted and dangerous at once. Shuna hides a smile behind her hand and then gets back to work because she is Shuna. Horns again. Closer. The ground picks up the faint march beat. We go to posts. North wall. Line 1. Benimaru stands on a crate with chalk and a nail. Form, he calls. Hobgoblins slot shields in a sawtooth line. Behind them, spear carriers rest halves on thighs, tips down, eyes up. Ranga prowls the dead ground between the trench and the brush, a shadow with ears. Positions, Benimaru says, low to the near squad leader. Hold the first push. Knees, not throats. If they break the line, we close it before we chase. Roger. He breathes in through the nose, out through the mouth. He is a flame banked down on purpose. I stand a step behind him, hands loose at my sides. Seal ticks off, ranges in my mind. Seal. Scouts at 200. Main body at 400. Priest hanging back at 6. 2 siege carts. Sigils on the priest staves. Light bind. Fear aura. Sanctify. Counterscripts prepared. Diablo, I think. Seal, he has them. Uriel. I whisper. Layer us. Seal. Covenant King up. Field 1. Wide funnel. Field 2. Splash blanket to save clumsy feet. Field 3. Pulse on my mark. Good. The enemy crests the low hill. Falmouth is blue and gold shakes in the wind. Behind them, white tabards with sunbursts. I see clean armor, tired faces, and too many boys who think this will make them men. A man with a gilded plume pushes his horse ahead. He lifts a horn and blasts a sharp note. The line behind him roars. Benimaru doesn't look at him. He looks at our front rank and speaks slow and calm. Shields tight. Feet light. Remember the drill. He raises his hand. Hold, he says. The first wave hits our soft wall like a card into sand. Momentum drains. They stumble. Our line doesn't. Knock. Benimaru says. Shields punch forward together. Not to break collars. To break breath. The first rank of Falmouth troops gasp. Our spears dip to hip height and hold there, warning. No stab unless the order comes. Ranga, I say. He is already moving. He darts to a gap, pulls a soldier out by the belt, drags him to a blue flag, and drops him in front of 2 healers who tie his wrists and give him a blanket like it's a regular morning. 3 priests at the back raise staves. Light builds. Diablo, I think. He walks into their spell like it's rain and opens his hands. Rope sigils bite their wrists. They're light gutters. He bows polite, while demons at his sides collect staves and lay them in a neat stack. The plume officer shouts orders that sound confident and are not. They try to wheel. Benimaru watches their boots, not their flag. Left flank, he says calm. Our left flexes and returns. Pulse, I whisper. Seal now. The ground hums. Not enough to throw, just enough to rob the legs of a leap. The second wave bogs. They stop trying to jump our ditch and start trying to climb our barrier with tired arms. It doesn't work. Talk, I say. Benimura nods. He steps forward, lifts his voice. Lay down arms, he calls. No one dies if you stop. Some do. More don't. That's fine. We can do this a while. I leave him the line and jog for the east. East Road. Cheyenne's barricade. The cart wall stands 3 layers deep. Kirobe's braces are honest. Cheyenne stands atop the center cart like a banner that can hit back. A smaller column rushes her position. Faster, lighter, mercenaries in mixed armor. They see a woman smiling at them and make the mistake men make. They learn fast. Down! Cheyenne calls. Her crew ducks. She swings the greatsword in a clean, flat arc timber just behind the blade shutters. Wine pressure alone knocks the front runners off their feet and tumbles the second rank into them. No blood, just physics and shame. Up, she calls. Her crew pops back into place and bangs shields with fists to keep their own hearts from climbing out. A priest lifts a hand behind the mercs and tries a fear pulse. Cheyenne smiles wider. No, she says. It breaks on Uriel's field and splashes harmlessly like a bucket kicked over. She looks down and sees me. Having fun, she calls. Work, I call back. She laughs and gets back to it. 2 mercenaries try to scramble up the side of the cart stack. She grabs both by collars, sets them down on the safe side, whacks each helmet with 2 fingers, and jerks a thumb toward the clinic. They run, confused alive. I feel eyes on me from the tree line. Sui's voice brushes my ear. Archers at your 3, he murmurs. 12. Uriel. Screen. I think. Seal. Screen up. Arrows slap the air and curve, drop, and stick quivering in the dirt because the air doesn't want them today. A horn from the north. 2 quick, 1 long. Benimuru's signal for priest pushing. 3rd, wave heavy. Diablo. I think. Seal. Already moving. I sprint back for the square. The square is calm on purpose. Healers move in straight lines. Shuna's voice is steady like string pulled tight. Harness shouts people into place and insults anyone who slows down. Children sit on blankets with wooden toys and watch the ceiling beams because someone told them that is their job. Valen stands beside a table with water and clean cloths. His hands shake. He keeps working. He doesn't look at me when I pass. He doesn't need to. Report, I tell Shuna. Bruises, sprains, 2 cuts, she says. 1 cracked rib when Ranga forgot his weight. He apologized. The rib accepted. Good, I say. You need anything? She looks at my face for a second and then shakes her head. You, she says. Don't leave sight of someone who can yell at you. Cheyenne is yelling at everyone. I say. That counts, she says, and goes back to wrapping a wrist. I step out again. Veldora turns a lazy circle overhead, halo distance. Malim streaks past him and laughs. He rumbles back. He is behaving. Mostly. Seal. Enemy morale dip detected on all fronts. No commander unifying the lines. Falmouth's heraldry marking a chancellor's guard at the rear, not a king's. Church units are mixed orders, poor cohesion. Diagnosis, pushers, not leaders. Hold pressure, I think. Keep our people fresh. Tell Benimuru to rotate front ranks 2 and 5. Seal. Told. I jog to the north wall again. Benimuru rotates ranks like he's shuffling cards. The men in the back step up. The men in the front step down. No gaps, no confusion. The enemy sees fresh faces and loses a little more heart. A captain, older, scars, lowers his sword and lifts his voice. Parley, he shouts. I walk out alone. Uriel walks with me, invisible. The captain stares at me like he expected a monster and got a person. He wipes rain off his beard. He looks tired. We were told you'd slaughter us, he says. I was told you'd burn our homes. I say. We stand with the barrier a hand's width between us. Who sent you? I ask. He glances back. Chancellor Lewis of Falmouth, he says. Priest with rings. Orders to make a fast example before the dragon wakes. Luminous didn't sign? I ask. I don't know, he says. It felt like a hurry. You can stop, I say. Lay down arms. Sit. We'll feed you. We will not chain you unless you try to run while swinging. His jaw tightens. They'll hang me when I return. Then don't return that way. I say. Walk through, not back. Some of your men already did. He looks at the ground, then at my face. You'll spare my boys? He asks. Yes, I say. He lowers his sword. He turns and lifts both hands. Stand down, he shouts. Drop blades. 100 do. 200 think about it. The church line behind him raises staves and starts to chant fear and guilt and light shaped like knives. Diablo appears between them and the captain and smiles very politely. No, he says. He snaps his fingers. Their staves fall apart into sticks. He bows and gestures toward the ground. Rest, he suggests. The priests sit because it seems like a reasonable thing to do. The captain exhales and sags. Thank you, he says. Welcome to Tempest, I say. Follow the blue flags. Healers will yell at you. Listen, he nods and waves his men forward in small groups. Benimaru's line opens a mouth and swallows them into safety. Sui, I think. Find the ones who still think they can win by being clever. Already on them, he whispers. A shout from the east. Cheyenne's voice, bright and very loud. Focus. This is for Tempest. Her crew answers, a rolling chant. The mercs break. Some run. Most drop their weapons and climb down very carefully like the cart grew teeth. Malim swoops low over the river shallows and kicks a siege cart's axle in half with one playful heel. The cart tilts and slides into the mud. The soldiers on it scramble off, sodden and angry it would. Not us. She claps and flies away, pleased with physics. A horn to the south, one we didn't plan. I spin and squint. A small column moves fast on the far path. Not enemy. A banner with a black pick on blue. Gazel. He sends 20 heavy dwarves with tower shields and a foreman with a hammer the size of a door. They jog to the square and stop long enough to drink water and nod at me. The foreman thumps his hammer on the ground. Stone team, he grunts. Where? Kirob's line. I say. East carts. He nods and moves. The dwarves angle their shields and slot into the barricade like they trained here. Kirob makes a sound that's almost a laugh and hands the foreman a chisel. They argue and fix 3 bracing points in 30 seconds. Sarian's mages bring a paper packet to Shuna. Healing circles, one says. We didn't want to set them without your look. She checks the glyphs. Good, she says. Place 2 by the blue flags, 1 by the well. They nod and run. I stand in the square again and take a breath. We are holding. The lines are not bleeding. The code on the board by the gate is already smudged by too many fingers tapping it for luck. Good sign. Seal, I think. Vector check. Seal. Falmouth's push is spent. Church contingent split 3 ways. A group of zealots at the river is preparing a sanctified blast. Malim is hovering, curious. Recommend. Let her chase it away from the lines. Malim, I call up with my mind. Pretty light to your right. It pops. Her laugh lands in my skull like a spark. Mine. She dives. The sanctified builds and then redirects harmlessly into open sky, as if someone picked up the bowl and turned it. She slaps the last of it like a bad lantern and sends sparks into the water, where they die with a hiss. She lands and sticks her tongue out at a priest who looks like he wants to cry. No, she tells him, cheerfully. Thank you, I think. Fun, she sings back. By mid-afternoon, the field is quieter. We have prisoners sitting on blankets, eating stew like the world didn't try to teach them a lesson. We have mercenaries staring at their hands because they are not dead and didn't expect that outcome today. We have a few priests weeping because fear is leaking out and leaving shame behind. We also still have a third of the enemy standing in loose knots, holding weapons they aren't sure they want. They watch our dragon and our wolves and our lines that didn't break. I climb the north wall and raise my voice. Last call. I shout across the gap. Lay down arms. Walk in. Eat. Or leave your banners and go. We will not chase. But if you try to push again, we will end it before sunset. A young priest with a too large ring tries to shout back. Hinata isn't here to see him fail. He tries to call me a demon. The word dies in his throat. The captain with the scars is already sitting on our side of the line. He looks up at me and speaks to his own people. It's done, he says. Stop. One by one they do. Benimaru blows the signal for hold and breathe. Cheyenne barks the same in her own style. Ranga flops onto his side in the mud, panting happily, covered in admiration and dirt. Diablo stacks confiscated weapons in neat lines and hums. I drop from the wall and land without a bounce. Garm, now in a proper Tempest tabard, appears at my elbow. We fixed the west post, he reports. It will hold a cart horse now. Good, I say. You all right? He nods, jaw hard. Better breaking wood than skulls, he says. Same result, I say. Finn stays up. He huffs a laugh and runs to help Kira with a brace. Valen walks up with 2 water skins. He offers one. He doesn't meet my eyes. He doesn't need to. I drink and hand it back. You did well, I say. I did my job, he says. Same thing, I answer. He flinches once and then nods. The sun tips. The field settles like a held breath being set down. Seal, I think. Casualty list. Seal. Tempest, 0 dead. 12 minor injuries. 1 fractured wrist. Enemy, 0 dead in our zone. 67 sleeping. 237 surrendered. 85 fled south. Malim let them. She gave them directions that do not lead to our farms. Of course she did, I think. Seal. Next wave probability. High by nightfall if the Zealot faction regroups. Or at dawn if a real commander reaches the rear. Then we rest in shifts, I think. We feed everyone. We fix the boards. We post the code again because the rain smudged it. I climb the gate and look out over our lines. Benimra, I call. He looks up. Rotate and eat, I say. 2 bells. Then we tighten again. Done, he calls back. Cheyenne, I say, projecting. Yes. Sit for 10 minutes, I say. If you argue, Shuna will make you. She glares at me, and then it's Shuna, who crosses her arms and lifts a brow. Cheyenne sits. She scowls into a bowl and then grins at a child who hands her a card wolf. Fine, she mutters. 10. Diablo, I think. Yes, my lord. He answers, right behind me, because of course he is. Stay with the priests, I say. No sermons. Keep them from trying to prove piety with stupidity. He smiles. My specialty, Malim. I think upward. She hangs upside down 10 feet above my head, hair falling like a flag. Hi, she says. Thank you, I say. She grins, flips, and lands in front of me. She looks at my face for a long 2 seconds. Then she bumps my shoulder with hers like a kid on a schoolyard. We got this, she says. We do, I say. She kisses my cheek again, quick and sunny. For luck, she insists, then shoots back to the sky to draw a big lazy circle that makes 3 toddlers clap. Veldora lowers his head over the gate and squints at me with 1 giant eye. I am very calm, he announces. You're doing great, I say. 1 more pass, then rest. HMPH, he says, pleased, and sails away with careful wings that do not break sound even once. The light leans long. The campfires on the enemy side flicker to life, small, scattered. No songs, no drums. That tells me what I need. They won't push again before dark unless someone stupid gives them courage. We can handle stupid. I drop to the square and sit on the step outside the hall for 1 minute because Shuna told me to. She puts a mug in my hand and a blanket on my lap like I'm one of her patients. I pretend to be offended and drink the tea. Harna stomps past and jabs a spoon at me. If you don't eat a bowl now, you'll forget later, she says. I accept the bowl. It is hot. It is good. Diablo hovers like a polite shadow until I take a second bite, then nods, satisfied, and glides away to ruin a priest's plan with a smile. Benimaru returns from the wall, eats standing, looks at his chalkboard, erases 2 lines, writes 3 new ones. Cheyenne finishes her 10 minutes, rolls her shoulders, and goes to yell at a barricade until it obeys. Ranga snores on his back with 2 pups on his belly. Sui is nowhere and everywhere. Valen sits against the clinic wall and stares at his hands until Harna throws a rag at his head and orders him to clean bandage tubs. He does so like prayer. Seal hums. The Zealot group is moving to a copse on the South Ridge. They are building a circle. I can give you an angle. Tomorrow, I think. We'll answer it then. You want to save the inn for dawn? Seal notes. I want them to sleep on it. I answer. Fear breaks fast. Shame holds. Let them sit with both. Seal is quiet a beat. Understood. I stand, and the blanket falls. Shuna catches it mid-air and folds it while walking because of course she does. Final checks, I say. Then half down. The last of the light dies. The torches on our walls burn steady. The code shines on the new plaque Q-robe set at the gate. Iron letters clear as orders. See, call, hold, shield, pull, breathe. I put my palm on it for a second. Then I turn toward the dark. Positions, I say, not loud. The lines settle like a town going to sleep with its eyes open. Focus. Benimaru calls, voice low across the north. This is for Tempest. Voices answer. We wait for the night to finish its turn. Chapter 6. The Dark War. Earth-shattering chaos. Horns again. Short. Urgent. Sui lands beside me on the north wall. They're moving, he says. All fronts. Priests in the second rank. Siege carts at the river. Positions, I call. Benimaru, take line 1. Cheyenne, hold the east. Diablo, rear screen. Ranga, shadows. I raise my hand. Uriel, seal. Covenant King online. Multi-layer barrier. Outer elastic, inner catch. Sleep haze staged. The air tightens. A clear dome forms over Tempest and the kill ground. It stops wind and bends light a little. You can feel it on your teeth. Flags up. Benimaru calls. Shields lock. Spears settle. The enemy crests the rise in a wave. Falmouth blue and gold in front. White sunburst behind. Boots drum. Voices try to sound brave. Hold, Benimaru says. Calm. He points. Left 3 step. They step. The line bends and then firms. Arrows lift from the back ranks. They hiss. Screen, I say. Seal done. Arrows slap the dome and slide down like rain. Behind me, a few kids gasp, then breathe when the shaft clatter harmlessly. Priests are priming. Sui murmurs. 3 light binds. 1 fear cone. Diablo, I think. I see them, he answers, voice smooth. Allow me. He walks out of the gate like he is going to market. 2 demons follow with coils of sigil rope. He bows to the first priest and closes his hands. The bind snaps like cheap twine. He smiles at the fear caster. No, he says, and folds the aura into a string the demon ties around the staff like ribbon. The priest blinks, confused, then sits down on instinct. Diablo tips his head, pleased. Malim drops from the clouds and hovers over the river flank. Point me, she shouts. Siege carts, I call. Kick wheels. Don't crush anyone. Yes, sir. She streaks low and flicks a heel into a cart axle. With splinters, the cart crabs into the shallows. Soldiers jump off and flail in knee-deep water. She laughs and zooms to the next. The first infantry wave hits our soft wall. Set, Benimaru says. Whomp. The barrier yields a handspan, robs momentum, and hands bodies back with half their force. Our shields meet them with a short shove. No stabs yet. Helmets ring. Men drop to knees, not graves. Ranga, I say. He's already there. He darts into a gap, snatches 1 soldier by the belt, and drags him to a blue flag, tail wagging once like he did a trick. He did. He bounds back out with mud up to his elbows and does it again. Cheyenne, I call across the bond. Busy, she says, cheerful. The east road is smaller and meaner. Her barricade stands 3 carts high, with braces Q-robe swears by. She stands on top with her greatsword on her shoulder. Mercenaries rush the base. Down, she shouts. Her crew ducks. She sweeps the blade in a low, flat arc. The air bucks. The front rank of mercs flips backward and lands on their backs staring at the sky. No cuts. Just air and shame. Up, she barks. She points. You left post. You hook that rope. Use your legs. Breathe. Another volley of arrows. Another hiss. Screen holds. Seal reports. Good, I say. Pulse 3 in my mark. Clang. A bell to the south. River frontal. Sanctify circle forming by the willows. Mark them. Don't break it yet. I reply. I want their focus there. High. The second wave hits the north. Harder. Their captain pushes the center. He's older. He knows how to hold his breath and use his shoulders. Front 2. Step, Benimaru says. Knees. Shields dip. Edges meet kneecaps. Men fold. They don't bleed. Now. I whisper. Seal. Pulse 3. The ground hums. Not an earthquake. Just a reminder. The charging line drops half a step like the earth asked them to wait. Our line doesn't. Talk. I tell Benimaru. He steps forward. Voice carries clean in the dome. Lay down arms, he calls. Blue flags. Healers waiting. You will live. A dozen blades drop. A dozen more don't. That's fine. We plan for both. A holy bolt snaps bright from the priest line and hits the barrier. It spreads like milk in water and fades. Diablo. I say, on it, he says, almost bored. He plucks the next sanctify from the air and knots it. The priest stares at his empty hand, then at Diablo's smile, and sits down again because his legs think it is wise. Rimuru, Shuna calls over the bond. 2 ankle sprains. 1 cut. Stable. Thank you. I say. Keep water moving. Already, she replies. Haruna's voice barks in the background, ordering spoons like soldiers. The river flank shifts. Malim locks eyes on a squad of Templars in heavy white. Ooh, fancy, she says delighted. She lands on a boulder like it's a stage. Hi. They don't answer. They try to form a wedge and push past her toward the wall. Play somewhere else, she says, and palms the front shield. She doesn't punch. She just sets pressure. The wedge stops like it forgot how to move. She tips it sideways with 2 fingers and sets it down in the mud. Neat. You can nap, she says. We'll talk later. Veldora. Gazel's foreman asks, appearing at my elbow like a wall with legs. His dwarf have already braced 2 sagging posts. His hammer rests on his shoulder. Not yet, I say. Hold him high. I want our lines seen. Good, he grunts and trundles off to fix a hinge mid-fight, because that's who he is. The East Road roars. Shine laughs back. Focus. This is for Tempest, she shouts. Her people repeat it, loud, steady. The mercenary line wobbles, then crashes like a bad stool. Half of them throw weapons down and put hands up. The rest try to run around the end of the carts. Ranga meets them and herds them like sheepdogs do when they feel very smart. So I say, I want the handler. Warehouse door, he says calm. Third from the mill. He wears a caravan cloak and a priest ring under it. I'll bring him. Alive, I say. Of course, he says and vanishes. Another horn. Rear. A chancellor's banner. Lewis of Falmouth glints on the ridge. He points with a baton. The third wave starts. Rotate, Benimaru says. Ranks 2 and 5. Switch. Now, they switch. Smooth. Shields trade places. Breath comes back to tired arms. The enemy sees fresh faces and thinks we are endless. Good. A new chant rises from the priest line. The air tightens. This one is bigger. A dome crackles inside our dome. Sanctify field, long burn. Uriel. I say. Harden, seal. Inner layer density to 80%. It will hold. Diablo has the weave. Diablo, I think. He laughs softly. Allow me to lower the volume. He does not counter with force. He walks to the edge of their circle and twists a single glyph with 1 finger. The Sanctify bright drains from blinding to annoying. The priests shout and pour more power in, and Diablo keeps the faucet mostly closed with 2 fingers and a pleasant smile. Lower it, Diablo, I say aloud. No panic trampling. He bows. The pressure drops another notch. Our prisoners stop twitching and breathe. The third wave slams the north line. Heavy shields. Hook spears. They try to yank our boards down. Hooks. Benimaru snaps. Cut ropes. Knives flash from shield edges. Ropes snap. Hooks fall. 2 goblins get pulled forward anyway and hit the barrier. It catches them and slides them back to our side, gentle. Thanks, One Pants. That thing is weird. It saves ankles, Benimaru says. Ankles matter. Light blooms on the ridge. The Chancellor's herald lifts a speaking horn. His voice booms, amplified. People of Tempest, lay down arms and submit to Falmouth and the Holy Church. You will be spared. Turn it down, I tell Seal. Seal. Canceling resonance. The voice thins. You can still hear it, but it's far away now, like bad radio. Malim snorts. Boring, she says, and kicks the last upright siege card into the river. It splashes and floats away like a stubborn log that learned humility. Veldora, I send tight. He circles high above the dome, vast, gold eyes bright. I am ready. He rumbles in my head and everyone else's. Entrance only, I say. No storms, no crater breath. Scare them. Do not erase them. HMPH, he says. I am a dragon of taste. He folds his wings and drops like a stone. At 50 meters, he snaps them wide. The shockwave thumps chest and rattles teeth. He roars once. Not too loud, just enough to remind thousands of shoulders that they own bodies that want to live. The roar rolls under the dome without breaking glass. He lands in the dead ground between lines with claws tucked to avoid slicing anyone by accident. Hello, he booms. I am very calm. The front ranks of Falmouth look up and forget to breathe. The priests try to look brave and fail. The herald drops his horn. Breathe, Benimaru calls to our side. In, out. Our line laughs once, sharp, and breathes as ordered. Veldora lifts one paw and delicately flicks 3 siege stakes out of the ground like splinters. He looks at me, head tilted. Good, I say. Hold that. He nods, pleased to be complimented for not exploding. Captain, I call to the scarred officer who parleyed yesterday. He's on our side now, sitting on a crate with his helm off. He stands and walks to the barrier edge. Can you talk to them? I ask. He looks at his old line. He nods, heavy. Let me try. He cups his hands. Stand down, he shouts. You won't win here. Some do. Some stare at him like he betrayed them. A man near the Chancellor's banner throws a rock. It hits the dome and bounces. The captain flinches, but doesn't step back. Keep trying, I tell him. Shana has more tea. He huffs a laugh that hurts and goes to the clinic for his voice. East. Shine's voice again. Left block, eyes front. Don't watch the dragon. Watch your hands. Hands, her crew echoes and stops staring at Veldora like he's a parade float. River, Sui whispers. The zealot circle is almost ready. They mean to punch our dome for below. Malim, I think. Mine, she sings, delighted. Slow them. Don't kill, I add. Fiyin. She drifts over the trees and lands in the middle of the chalk ring like a cat on a board game. Nope, she says, and smears a heel across the keystone. The channel fizzes and dies. The head priest gapes. She pats his cheek. Next time ask, she says. He sits down and prays to a god to save him from a girl who smiles. Status, I ask Seal. Seal, north line, stable. East, stable. River, broken. Enemy casualties, low in our zone. Surrenders increasing. Morale drop at the sight of the dragon, 42%. Chancellor's rear is steady. He has not seen enough yet to run. Warning, hero unit approaching from the south road. Signature, Hinata school, but not Hinata. A student. Strong, stubborn, scared. I'll take it, I think. Keep Shine out of that duel. She'll break him by accident. I heard that, Shine mutters, amused. Ranga, bring 2, I say. We'll meet the hero before he trips a child. Ranga trots up, tongue lolling. 2 pups bounce behind him and try to look serious. We jog to the south path. A small squad of knights runs ahead of a young man with clear eyes and a blade he holds too hard. He sees the dragon over the wall, sets his jaw, and sprints faster. Stop, I call. This is not your stage. He points his sword at me. It shakes a little. RIMURU Tempest, he says, voice tight. Stand aside. In the name of. Names later, I say. I raise a hand. Uriel. Box. Seal. Training cube up. 5 by 5. Air vents open. A clear square hums into place around us. It mutes the field. It keeps stray bolts out and bad decisions in. He blinks. What? A safe ring, I say. You want a test? You get a test. No killing. You agree. He hesitates. He nods. Agreed. Good. I glance at his stance. Relax your shoulders. Breathe with your belly. He flushes. Don't mock me. I'm not. I say. He comes in fast. Clean footwork. He practiced. His blade flicks from my shoulder. I turn and catch with a conjured rapier, simple and strong. We trade 4, 5, 6 moves. He overcommits on 7. I flick his wrist. His sword jumps, lands point down in the dirt, humming. He stares at his hand. I see the moment pride and fear fight. Pride loses. He exhales. You could have cut me, he says. I said no killing. I answer. He swallows. My orders. Look, I say and point. He peeks through the cube. He sees priests sitting. He sees soldiers eating stew. He sees a dragon waving at a child with 2 claws. He sees my people working like it is a long market day with obstacles. His shoulders drop. They said, I know what they said. I say, they need a story. I need a town. He nods. He bows awkward. I yield. He says, cheeks hot. Good. I drop the cube. Go to the blue flag. Tell Shuna you promised to be useful. She'll put you to work. He blinks. Work? Buckets, I say. Or bandages. Or moving wood. He looks at his hands, then at his knights. We can help. Yes. He nods again. All right. He jogs toward the flag with his squad trailing, confused and relieved. So I say. I see him, he replies, amused. I head back to the north with Ranga dancing at my knee. Rimuru, Benimaru calls as I arrive. They're trying to hook ropes again. Better this time. Cut higher, I say. Let them fall on their asses. He grins. Copy. He snaps the order down the line. Knives flash. Hooks drop with their owners attached. A row of men lands hard and lies there thinking about their life choices. The Chancellor's herald tries the horn again. It croaks. He swears. The Chancellor jerks the baton down. The rear line tightens. They don't like what they see. Veldora, I send. One more pass. No thunder. He puffs his chest. I can walk quietly. He does. He pads along the enemy front with steps that shiver dirt and don't crush men. He sniffs at a banner, snorts, and makes it flap. The men holding it decide to sit. He winks at a kid who isn't old enough to shave and then looks away so the kid can pretend he didn't like it. Status. I ask Seal. Seal. Enemy cohesion breaking. Zealot commander shouting doctrine. Effect minimal. Falmouth officers checking escape routes. Rear signal. Pull back in 5. Risk. A last hard push to save face. Prepare. Benimaru, I say. Expect stupid. Keep the line soft. Cheyenne, keep your people behind wood. Diablo, hold priests in polite knots. Understood, they answer together. Malim, I add. She's upside down 10 meters over the river, braids hanging. If they throw one last big light, send it up. Not sideways. Okay, she chirps. Like fireworks, not fireworks. Boo, she pouts, then smiles anyway. The last push comes like Seal said. 3 horns. A prayer chant. Officers scream. Men run because order said run. Hold, Benimaru says. Shields tight. Then breathe. They slam. The dome takes the first bite. Our shields take the next. The front 20 hit wood, not flesh. They stop. They shake. They drop spears. One begins to sob. The rest look at him, and then at us, and then at the dragon, and then at the sky. The chant dies. Sleep. I whisper. Seal. Haze down. A soft wash folds over the front ranks. Lids droop. Legs buckle. Men slide to sit. The ones behind them drop weapons to catch them. Open, Benimaru says. Our line splits 2 paces. Blue flags rise. Healers move with buckets and cloth. Uriel, I say. Vent, Seal. Vent open. Heat out. Fresh air in. The dome breathes. Steam lifts. The field smells like metal and wet wool and stew. Not death. The Chancellor's baton lowers, slow. He looks at his herald, then at the dragon, then at the priests with their staves and piles, then at me. I lift 2 fingers. Come talk. He doesn't. He turns his horse. He rides away at a dignified trot that is almost a run. The rear line follows, ragged. No drums, no song, no speech. Do not chase, I say. No cheers. Hold. We're not done. Copy, Benimaru says. He rolls his shoulders once and smiles at a spear carrier like they share a joke. They do. We're alive. So I say. Track the Chancellor. Not too close. Already on the ridge, he replies. Diablo, I say. Collect the last of the staves. Be kind. No lectures. He sighs, theatrical. You are no fun, he says, and does it anyway. Cheyenne climbs down from the barricade and rubs her forearms. No breaks, she reports. Herobe's braces held. The wars are smug. The foreman snorts, proud. Stone doesn't lie, he says. Thank it later, I tell him. Right now I need 3 more posts on the east. They'll try to flank at dusk if they grow a brain. We'll give them a wall to think about, he says, and stomps off. Shuna meets me at the gate. Eat, she says. I take the bowl. Huh. Salty. I can taste it. That means I'm not too far gone. Casualties? I ask. She ticks them off without looking at the ledger. Tempest, 0 dead. 12 bruised. 2 sprains. 1 finger dislocated, reset. Enemy in our care. 203 stable. No fatal wounds. Good, I say. She squints at my face. You slept 2 hours. You will sit for 10 minutes, she says. It is not a request. I'll sit for 5. I counter. 8, she says. 6, I say. She gives me a look that says she will win anyway. 7, she says. Fine, I say, and sit on the step with the bowl and the blanket she drapes over my legs like I'm old. Shine grins as she walks past. Benimaru pretends not to see. Diablo sighs dramatically and then hides a smile. Malim lands, steals a spoonful, makes a face. Too healthy, she declares, and flies off to hover over a group of surrendered knights and ask them about their boots. Veldora lowers his head and peers at me with one eye. You are small, he remarks. You are large, I reply. HMPH, he says, satisfied with this exchange, and coils his tail neatly where it won't crush a fence. Seal hums. Rear regroup detected. A sanctified volley at dusk, or a night raid by the zealots. Probability of full retreat by dawn if their faces can be saved, 68%. We'll press at dawn, I think. Clean. Final. No surprises for our people. Agreed, Seal says. Reserves are fresh. Mana stable. Uriel at 74% capacity. Veldora at 92 and bored. I heard that, Veldora says, offended. You're doing great, I tell him. One more circle. Quiet. Fine. I finish the bowl. I stand. Shuna takes the blanket midair again. She has a talent for that. Orders, I say. Hold lines through dusk. Rotate in pairs. Healers sleep in shifts. No lone patrols. Wolves in threes. Blue flags stay up. If anyone starts a speech, shut it down. Copy. Benimaru says. Copy. Cheyenne echoes. I'll shut down a speech. I will shut down 10 speeches. Diablo promises, pleased. Malim yawns and flips midair. Wake me if something explodes. Nothing explodes, I say. She pouts. You're mean, she says, and drifts into a slow circle that makes toddlers clap again. The sun drags low. The enemy makes a few half pushes to look busy for their own pride. We answer with the same moves: elastic wall, short shoves, ropes cut, sleep haze, blue flags. It works. They stop. Night edges in. Torches spark on their ridge. Ours burns steady inside the dome. Bells every quarter, I tell Rigard. I want the village heartbeat heard on the wall. Yes, Lord, he says, proud. I climb the gate once more and look at the field. Bodies sit. None lie still. Prisoners eat. Our people breathe. The dragon hums a tune with 3 notes because he learned it from children. A wind touches my face through Uriel's vent. Tomorrow, I say, quiet. We finish it. Ranga presses his head to my knee. With you, he says. Always, I answer. We hold the night. We let shame set while fear cools. Dawn will be the hour for decisions and for the axe Seal and I saved. The lines know. The town knows. The enemy will know. I stand down the wall and walk the length once, hand brushing posts and shoulders. See. Call. Hold. Shield. Pull. Breathe, I say to each guard. They nod. They repeat it back. It sticks. Focus. Benimaru says one last time before the bell. This is for Tempest. The wall answers. We wait for morning. Chapter 7. The Harvest. Silence of the Fallen. Dawn is a thin line on the ridge when Seal speaks in my head. Seal. Enemy posture. Exhausted but primed for one last push. Cohesion weak. Zealot core intact. Recommendation. Finish now with coordinated field control and conceptual sweep. Agreed. I think. My palms are damp. My chest is tight and steady at the same time. We end it before anyone gets brave in the wrong way. I step onto the north wall. Benimaru stands one post down with chalk dust on his knuckles. Cheyenne stretches her shoulders atop the east barricade. Diablo stacks confiscated staves like firewood and hums. Ranga paces a thin line between trench and brush, tongue out, eyes sharp. Listen up, I call, voice low but clear. It's time. Faces turn. No cheering. Good. Benimaru, I say. Hold the front soft. On my mark, you step back 2 paces and let the field take their weight. Copy, he answers. He rolls his shoulders once and lifts his hand to his captains. Cheyenne, I say over the link. Lock your lane. No heroics. If they surge, you push them down, not out. Roger, she says, already smiling. I'll keep our people behind Wood. Diablo, I think. I'm going to pull the plug on everything loud. You catch the scraps and keep the priest seated. He laughs light. Very well, master. Ranga, I say. When they start a tip, you grab the ones who might get trampled. Blue flags. You know the drill. Uh-huh, he says, tail going. I will be gentle. Mostly. Malim, I send up. She is a bright dot above the river. I'm making a black center. You keep curious people from walking into it. Like a shiny donut? She asks. Yes, I say. No bites. Boo, she says, but she's already moving to the right spot. I fill my lungs and let it out slow. Seal, I think. On my word. Full seal, then funnel. Veldora in sync. Then we go to Black Sunday. I set a short cool down before I open it again. Seal gates bandwidth, and I let my core settle. Even tamed, it hums against the ribs like weight in the chest. Non-lethal parameters. We're taking intent and bindings, not life. Seal. Understood. Covenant King Uriel ready. Chaos King Nyarlathotep link with Veldora prepared. Void God Azathoth at minimal output, tuned to soul state read and suppress. Merciless will trigger only on active killing intent. Kill switch disabled. Pacification path chosen. I nod once. Good. The horn star on the other ridge. 3 long, 2 short. The last drumbeat of someone's plan. Falmouth banners lift and dip. The white sunbursts behind them flare as priests raise staves. The front rank tries to make their boots sound strong. Positions, Benimuru calls. Shield high. Spear tips low. Breathe. I hold up my hand. Uriel, I say. Seal. Covenant King deploying. The dome thickens until the air hums on teeth. A second shell seals the ground under the enemy's feet. A wide funnel forms around our line and points to the open field. We keep clear for this. Step. Benimuru orders. Our front rank slides back 2 paces like one body. The enemy surges forward and finds the ground itself, helping them stumble where I want them. Veldora, I send. Now. Entrance and echo. No lightning. No breath. Behold my subtlety, he answers delighted. He drops from cloud height to tree height in a clean arc and plants his claws with care. The shockwave is a hard hand on every chest, and then gone. He roars once. The roar finds bone and shakes it and leaves no cracks. The enemy's line wavers. The zealot center tries to shout louder. Lower to touch, Diablo, I say. Of course, he replies, and the seconds sanctify. They were building sinks from blinding to annoying. He smiles at the priests and ties their bright spell work into bows. They stare at the bows, then at him, and sit because their legs recommend it. Time, I say aloud. Benimuru glances back and nods. With you, he says. My pulse kicks. My mouth is dry. That's fine. Black sun, I say quietly. Seal on my mark. Seal, awaiting. I lift my right hand. A small dark point appears over the field like a pinhole in the morning. It isn't hot. It isn't a hole in space. It's a controlled center where my skill reaches everything in range at once. I keep it the size of Shield Boss. That is enough. In my head, I keep the rules simple. Read every soul state in the field. If it holds active killing intent, strip the heat out of it. Cut any compulsion threads, oaths, fear hooks, holy binds. Copy the data I need, not the soul itself. Put everything back where it belongs. No deaths, no snatch, no harm. Mark, I whisper. Seal. Azathoth, Black Sun. Minimal field, execute. The Black Sun opens. Silence drops first. Not magic silence. Decision silence. Voices die in throats. The war cry that was about to start never finds breath. The Dark Center does not pull bodies. It pulls noise. Spells unravel mid-chant and fall into static. Sanctify fields go dull and harmless like day-old soup. The ground stops twitching under the heavy boots of scared men who thought they were brave. Inside me, the world slows the way it does when Seal accelerates thought. We walk the line together. Seal. Subject clusters. Red flags here, here, and here. Priests at node, a linked by guilt binding. Soldiers at node be linked by pay, oath, and fear. Zealot core at node, sea tied to a doctrine anchor. Suggest. Cut anchor first. Cut it, I think. Seal. Cut. The doctrine hook collapses like wet rope. The zealots blink. They still believe. They just aren't puppets now. Next. I think. Seal. Guilt binding on priests. Removing compulsion layer, leaving personal conscience intact. Do it. Threads snap without pain. Several prees sag and start to cry. A few grit teeth and hold on to anger without help. I'll leave them with it. It's theirs. Seal. Soldier fear loop. Reset adrenal spikes. Drop fight or flight to idle. Do it. It happens like a long exhale across the field. Hands lower. Knuckles unclench. Knees unlock. The ones who were about to jump the barricade glance down at their boots and decide not to. The black sun hums in place. It takes nothing away that I don't ask it to take. It doesn't eat souls. It eats heat. It reads, copies the bit pattern Seal needs, and let's go. Merciless. I ask. Seal. Merciless triggers on 5 individuals with active lethal intent aimed at civilians. Redirected to sleep instead of termination per your standing order. Good, I think. Let them snore. The 5 just sit. Heads tilt. Eyes close. They list to the side like the long night finally caught them. Their comrades catch them on reflex and ease them down. Veldora looks at the black sun with one big eye and does not poke it. This is growth. IT is small. He rumbles, impressed. Small is good, I say out loud. My voice sounds steady. My shirt sticks to my back. Benimru, I call. Hold. Speak when you're ready. He steps forward, just enough to be seen. Lay down arms, he says simple. Blue flags. No one dies today. Cheyenne echoes from the east. You heard him. Drop it. This is done. Diablo ties one last ribbon of Sanctify to a neat bundle and dusts his hands. Very tidy, he murmurs. Ranga, I say. I'm pulling, he answers, breath fast and happy. He drags 2 men out from under a tangle of spears, sets them by a blue flag, and noses a water skin at their hands. They drink, dazed. The Chancellor on the ridge stares at the dark point and the dragon that refuses to go feral and the soldiers sitting without orders and the priests who won't look at him. He lowers his baton. He looks smaller from here. He rides away without speech. The black sun reaches one more cluster. Seal highlights them. A knot of Templars in heavy white with runes that look like shackles rather than blessings. Seal. These runes are designed to force zeal in waves. Removing. Remove and return nothing. I think. Seal. Done. The runes break into chalk dust. The men inside wobble. 2 take off their helmets and put them on the ground like hot pots and back up and sit and stare at their hands. One starts to laugh and then to cry. A friend holds his shoulder. No one moves to hurt them. The field is quiet. Birds choose that moment to realize the air is fine and sing because birds are rude like that. The song lands inside the dome and rolls around until it stops sounding strange. I close my hand. The black sun pinches down to a pin and goes out. Seal. Sweep complete. Data integrated. No fatalities from your action. Residual fear dropped. External aggressor units disengaging. Internal pacification stable. Recommend. Announce terms and open the blue lanes. I breathe. My knees want to shake. I don't let them. Open lanes, I call. Blue flags forward. Healers ready. Water lines up. Weapons go in a pile. No speeches. On it, Benimru answers. He raises his hand, and the line parts the exact distance we practiced. 2 blue flags lift and slide out. Shuna steps between them with a bucket and a tired smile. Drink, she says, tone that accepts no argument. People drink. Cheyenne jumps down from the barricade and points left and right. Stack your junk there. Sit there. If you can't sit, lie down. Breathe. Diablo guides priests to a shade line with the patience of a cat herding ducks. Yes, yes, he says. You may keep the ring. It is pretty. No, do not wag a finger at me. Sit. Ranga sprawls with a pup on each foreleg and pants like he fought a mountain. He looks very proud of himself, and he should. Malim lands next to me with a light thud and leans her shoulder into mine. That was cool, she says, simple. It worked, I say. I swallow. My throat is raw. She bumps my cheek with the back of her hand. You're pale, she says. Sit, I will in a minute. I answer. Now, she says. After this, I say, and nod toward the field. She makes a face and then nods. Okay, I'm hovering. She hovers, arms crossed, protective and smug. Gazel arrives at a trot with 2 dwarves and a foreman who looks disappointed he didn't get to hit anything else with his hammer. Sarian's mages drift in behind, eyes sharp, hands open to show good intent. They take one look at the tidy rows of staves, and the sitting soldiers, and the quiet dragon, and then at me. Gazel grunts. That a new trick? It's a careful one, I say. He snorts. Careful wins. Sarion studies the empty air where the black sun was like he can still see the math. You strip the heat, he says. Not the life. Yes, I say. I took nothing they can't live without. He inclines his head. Balanced, he says. I approve. I nod once. Words feel heavy. I keep them small. Seal hums again in my head, warmer now. Integration complete. The Monas has finished its final fusion. Formal designation, change, recommended. Say it. I think. Seal. Name Seal. The voice, already calm, gains a soft edge that feels like a hand on my shoulder. Relief hits my gut hard enough to make me sway once. Malim's fingers catch my sleeve without looking. She pretends it didn't happen because she's kind like that. Seal, I think. Status of the souls. Everyone's soul state is intact, Seal replies. We copied signatures and flags. We cut binds. We put the rest back where it belongs. We are not carrying any unwilling lives. We are carrying knowledge. Good, I think. My chest loosens. Rimuru, Shuna calls gently. We need you here. I walk to the nearest blue flag. A young Templar sits on a blanket, helmet off, eyes raw. He sees me and flinches, and then forces himself not to flinch again. That second part matters. There will be no more killing today, I say, steady. You are safe in Tempest. Drink water. Put your weapon there. I point at the pile. If you're hurt, call. If you're scared, say so. He nods and tries to speak and fails and nods again. He drinks. He breathes. We walk the line like that for a while. Same words. Same tone. It helps people hear when every voice matches. Benimaru joins me. His hair is wet with sweat. He grins without showing teeth. It's done, he says. It is, I say. He glances at the empty patch of air where the black sun was. That felt quiet. It was supposed to, I answer. Shine drops down beside us with a ring of keys. She took off 3 mercenaries who decided they don't like keys anymore. I wanted to swing a little more, she says, then shrugs. This is better. It is, I say. Diablo approaches, hands clasped behind his back. Priest seated and sulking. He reports, cheerful. No sermons escape their mouths. I regret to say it was easy. Thank you, I say. He bows. Ranga sneezes and shakes his head. The black sun tickled, he says. It was funny. Don't lick it if you see it again, I say. He blinks. I will try, he promises, unsure he can. Malim hovers lower. You still need to sit, she says in my ear. After we finish this route, I say. She kicks the back of my boot lightly and lets it pass. We reach the last cluster near the river. The zealot leader who was shouting doctrine earlier has his hands flat on his knees and is staring at the mud. He looks up when my shadow falls across him. You took something, he says, voice flat. I took pressure, I say. You can have your choices back. He swallows. I don't know what to do with them. Start with water, I say. Then decide what kind of man you want to be when no one is yanking on your strings. He stares at the cup Shuna hands him and holds on like it's an order he understands. He drinks. He doesn't thank me. That's fine. We turn toward the square. Seal, I think. We're not done until I say it. I know. Seal says, fond and matter of fact. Finish your rounds. Then sit. Then eat. You will listen to Shuna. You sound like Shuna, I think. I learned from the best, Seal says, and if a voice in my head could smile, this one does. At the gate, Rigard and Harna have already set a table with bowls and a big pot that smells like something simple and good. Harna sees my face and points at a stool. Sit, she says. Seat. Malim drops onto the step next to me and steals the first spoonful. She makes a pleased sound. Better than earlier, she says. You ate today? I ask.